Welcome to Shred Cels episode 71. I am your host, Alex Schmitz, and with me here today is Tristan Wayne.
Hello.
Jacob Jones.
Hi.
And special new guest, Jimmy, how do you pronounce your last name? Bulow.
I just say Bulow.
Jimmy Bulow. We'll go with A.
I thought you just called him Jim.
I call him Jim Jams, Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe. I like that one.
Zimbabwe.
That's a new one.
Invented on the spot, apparently. All right, so Jimmy, this is what we do for all of the new people who come on the podcast. Just tell us your year, major, and how you got into anime.
I'm a super senior. Majors, accounting, MIS, business pre-law. Business pre-law doesn't really count. It came free with the accounting major. And how I got into anime, Toonami and really mostly Gundam Wing. Giant robots.
Interesting. I didn't know that Gundam Wing was like your entry point.
I mean, it might not have been my very first, but it was the most
It was the first
special.
big one.
It was the first special one that
I feel like with every anime person, there's always the one that introduced you to the concept and then the one that kept you there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the first one for a lot of people is going to be, Pokemon, Sailor Moon.
Yeah, go.
But then Gundam Wing just did it. Giant robots, explosions.
I should feel ashamed that my entry point was about a Cinderella magician.
Oh, which one's that?
I'm not going to mention it.
I know
I have better-
exactly what
Is
it
I
it
have better
Negima?
standards at this point. No. It's not
No. Oh.
He-
Let's just say it
He's not
involves
Tsundere.
it
I
involves bullwhips.
Okay, yeah, see, I'm not ringing any bells for me.
Negima. If anybody of you know, then be sure to email Alex. A lot.
Oh, goody.
Yes, everybody needs to make sure that he knows.
I'll go look it up later. All right, so diving into the news that's happened in the past week, there were two kind of important ones that I saw. One was a statement from Suzuki, who's the producer at Studio Ghibli. He made a comment that basically Studio Ghibli is still open, but they're just not doing anything right now. I guess they're struggling to find ideas for films that they can be satisfied with. So I was glad to hear that at least that the doors are open. There are people still working at the studio. It's just a shame that they're having this issue, or whether it's financial or creative or whatever, that they're just not making anything
I
right now.
still wonder if Studio Ghibli without Miyazaki is a Studio Ghibli at all.
That's
it's a very fair point.
It's a fair point, but at the same time, there are a lot of Studio Ghibli movies I like that aren't directed by Miyazaki.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Well, so far my track record was not directed by Miyazaki hasn't been so good.
Yeah.
You've seen Arrietty in From Up on Poppy Hill, right?
I didn't know Arrietty wasn't him. They put up House on Poppy Hill. I just wasn't into it.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
there too. We just
I
kind of
would-
didn't
yeah.
watch it. I think part of the issue was it was one of those things where we didn't really want to have to pay a lot of attention that night because we were tired. And then they put it in Japanese. And we're like, we're not reading.
Yeah, we were watching. Yeah, we were watching the dub, and then somebody, the opening monologue of the dub. Somebody's like, "I wonder if this is in the Japanese version." Switches over, it's not there.
Hi,
Well,
Scotty.
We're watching the sub.
Hi, Scotty.
Of course it was Scotty.
Oh.
Who else?
Well, we were already exasperated him because of Wolf Children the previous night.
Oh,
so
yeah.
at that
Oh,
point,
yeah.
we were just kind of like,
I
don't feel like
honestly,
reading right
I
now.
never really cared about it anyway. I was
How
gonna watch
dare
it because
you
it
make
was
me
there and it
read.
was simple.
And
but-
then the last week it was what was it? Oh, Princess Kaguya.
Yeah, the last one I saw was Kaguya. It's by no means the worst thing to ever come out of Ghibli.
It was just boring.
Yeah, it's got its problems. I praise the effort, but that's about it.
I really like that one myself, but I can. It is a slow movie. There's no denying
Definitely.
that. Second piece of news that I saw was that Animator Expo, which is the thing Studio Car has been doing, is going on break. It's coming back for its second season in March. So I guess they're just taking a little bit more time to make.
I guess that means I have to go out and just binge watch all of them.
You should.
Animator Expo will
they
return,
need-
and
they
we'll be
need-
bringing Me Part 2 to get you interested again.
And then immediately after that, we will bring you clip shows from different Gundam series and more Ava.
We hope this doesn't seem like a sellout to you. Remember, independent animators.
Yeah, well, they did say that the next one is being directed by the same guy who directed the Tiny Woman one, which is personally my favorite of
It
the
wasn't a
ones they've
bad
released.
one.
I loved
I'm
it.
extremely biased. I still just like Me. I'm sorry.
I mean, Mimi was really good.
Oh, it
Of the
was.
ones I've watched, I'm biased too, but Gundam. I don't care that
Really?
I don't care that it wasn't independent or anything. It's Gundam.
The Gridman one was good too. That would probably be a close second.
Well,
if
of
not.
course
The
you'd
last
love
one
that
I
one.
watched was the tiny girl.
Oh yeah.
Tiny Girl was just
There was
the only thing we came out of it wondering was why is she naked again?
Yeah, that was the only thing.
The most recent one was actually pretty cool. It was a really detailed CG Ava.
Oh yeah, I watched that
short.
one. That was pretty
Yeah,
cool too.
It's an
I mean,
Ava
it
short.
was like Yeah, I mean, it was Ava, so, but it was cool to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
Ava usually is cool to watch, but then you're just like, how much Ava can you shove at us?
I am Anno. I am against merchandising. Here, have an Ava bucket.
everybody needs an Ava bucket.
Don't forget the Ava Pachinko parlors and the Ava-sponsored racehorse.
But in this independent thing where I show you the different parts of animation, I will give you more Ava.
There's never enough Ava.
Still haven't parted part 4, by the way.
No, it's 3.0 plus 1.0.
I cannot wait for Unit 8 plus 2. I want it so badly.
I don't.
Except you have to remember that in the whatever was in the preview for 3.0 didn't show up in 3.0.
The trolling bullshit. I hate you.
Oh
hate
god,
you
that's just
sometimes,
dumb.
Anno.
I haven't even seen 3.0. I think the
Oh,
only
I've hated
Ava,
on it a long time before this. I like what he makes. Don't like the guy.
the only Ava I've seen is like the last episode of the original series, and then 2.22. So I'm just like all over the place on
2.22
that.
is very good.
Oh no, it was
Oh, yeah.
beautiful. I loved
High
2.22.
Probably the high
2.22 is
point.
okay, but I liked it better when it was called Princess Tutu.
Hey.
Hey, speaking of things we watched recently.
Well, yeah. That was a couple weeks ago that you and I marathoned
Yeah,
through
but
Tutu.
still technically recently. Other than that, I've been watching, at the showings, I've been watching Log Horizon and Rage of Bahamut.
Those two are freaking
What have you
awesome.
been thinking of those?
Rage of Bahamut, I kind of dipped out around the second episode, but when I came back, it really picked up a lot, especially with the spoiler, Zombie Girl and everything.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that was great.
it's barely a spoiler.
Log Horizon, I've been enjoying it enough. There's just nobody I'm terribly attached to
Well,
yet.
the last episode that we watched kind of made up for that a little bit, considering it had like, okay, these characters are kind of cool.
Yeah, but it's
And then
it's still that there's just
Catman.
nobody standing out much. Catman partially stands out because he's Catman.
I know.
Oh.
As the anime goes on, Shiro definitely stands out to me, at least. I love him.
Yeah, I'm still giving it a chance. It's just at the moment nobody is striking me a lot.
At least it's better than Sao.
By far.
Well, yes,
already.
it is
That's
better
not
than
that's not a high bar to jump over.
I mean, when it's both the whole trapped in a virtual world, you kind of have to compare them. It's definitely
Well, it's with the thing with the author for Log Horizon, and I kind of noticed this in Mao Yu, is that in everything from designs and how everything works, he takes it to its logical conclusion.
yeah. He
which
goes.
is both a good thing, but on the other hand, between Sao and Log Horizon, which one's going to stand out on the front of the light novel cover?
Fair enough, and I think one of the issues with it too is like even this in like this big fantasy world, he's trying to do everything extremely logically, and that kind of doesn't fit when you're going with fantasy sometimes.
See, I disagree though, because those Sword Art Online and Log Horizon are obviously similar in that they're both like trapped in a video game world concept. In terms of what they are, they're very different because Sao is much more the kind of action adventure, relationship kind of
Windmill
show.
arms.
Indeed. Versus Log Horizon is about like building a civilization in this world. That's what it's about.
We really haven't gotten that far into Log Horizon to see that yet.
Okay,
either.
well
But on the
that's
other-
what it's about.
But on
trust
the other
me.
hand, there's also the point that Sao, in the first episode, it tells you what the conflict is. It's, we're trapped in this virtual world. If we die, we'll die. We have to beat the game to escape. Log Horizon, they still haven't actually, at least to what we've seen in the showings, they still haven't actually figured out what exactly is going on, that they're
Yeah.
all in this...
Yeah, it's like
It was just they woke up one day, we're stuck in our game now.
we're trapped
yeah,
here and
okay.
we're doing game things.
Yeah, no, they like that's the thing in Log Horizon. They don't really try to escape the world. They try to kind of live in the world.
Yeah. Which is a different take. I'm still giving it a chance, other than Yatterman Knight.
Yes, Yatterman Knights.
And on a complete whim, I have gone back to the past to watch Kirby Right Back at You.
Oh god, you're actually watching that.
Yeah, I started watching some of that. I watched the first 3
Wow.
episodes of the Japanese dub just out of curiosity, and then I continued watching the English dub.
Hi.
Is the Japanese one like significantly better, or
It's better, but it's very clear what the demographic is.
It's not as hammy.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have that dare Kirby.
that damn
I need me a
Kirby.
monster to club with that there Kirby.
Get the money back guarantee.
Indeed, that addictive theme
All
song.
right, what have you been watching, Jim?
I mean, in the showings, I've been rewatching Gundam Build Fighters because
Oh, I forgot to mention that one.
it's buy our toys and I love it. And then also been watching Log Horizon and Rage of Bahamut. I still can't get over his hair in Bahamut.
Oh,
it's an
Favreau.
it's an
Afro
afro
mullet.
and a mullet. I don't understand why they
Just look past the
and
hair,
then-
Jimmy.
So it's
I
an
can't.
Affollet. Or is it
And
a
then-
Mulfro?
Outside of it, I've
Stop.
been bile fascination, I've been watching Kantai Collection.
It's
I
not
need to-
Bile Collection, I would say.
It's very
it's-
misguided.
it's
It doesn't know where it wants to go.
It's exactly what it's trying to be. I was shocked by the third episode. I was proud of the third episode, and I have to agree with. I have to agree. Last week, someone made a comment, and I agree with their opinion on that. They figured out how to make a successful episode. Congo. and then also been watching Dog Days season 3.
I've been watching
It's
that.
it's a feel good. I don't care that it's cheesy or moe or bullshit. It
Can't-
just feels good.
I can't get over the Chosen One concept.
What about 3 chosen ones?
And the second part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders.
Oh yeah, it's been really good so far.
Oh, you're forgetting the important one that you went through the first part of Queen's Blade.
Oh yeah, I watched.
Oh, no.
I binged through the first season of Queen's Blade. Still haven't started the second season, but wow.
Come on, it's the tournament arc. You know it's got to be good.
Oh, it's gonna be so outrageous. And
I don't know what your opinion is because I've been watching Stardust Crusaders too, and honestly, I've liked this so far. The second part of Stardust Crusaders has been a lot better than the first, in my opinion. Like I felt like there were
mean-
actual stakes in the Anubis battle, and you didn't get that a lot.
the Anubis battle. Yeah, that was a high point.
And Oingo
then-
Boingo was hilarious.
And some of
Boingo.
the things, like the fact that there's an actual line in the there's an actual line that it's just, can your Ora Ora match up against two masters, sword master stands dual wielding? They
fact that it
actually
uses the
said your Ora Ora, and the fact that the opening
Yes.
ends with just Ora 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 Ora. It's wonderful. And then the last thing I've really been watching is the second part of Aldnoah Zero. The
yeah.
plot is still, but the robot fights are cool to watch,
They are.
and I'm enjoying.
I really like what they're doing with Slain right now.
I'm loving watching. I'm loving watching his development, quote unquote.
I don't know. I like that show. Like it's flawed, but I like it. It's fun.
Do I have a personality yet? No. I have a robot eye to cement the, I have a
That's right.
robot eye to cement the fact that I am indeed a robot.
As if it wasn't obvious enough. Nice.
Fun fact, I didn't get a robot eye. I already had it.
Jacob, what have you been
I've
watching?
been watching the shows in the showing, which were obviously Log Horizon, Rage of Bahamut, and what was the third
Build
one?
Fighters.
Build Fighters.
Build Fighters.
Yeah, I've been watching those. And then I've been on my own, been watching, because I haven't been able to watch at the showing, I'm going to try to start watching Katana Guitar because the first episode was actually really freaking good.
I like that show a lot.
Outside of that, I haven't really been watching much. I watched the first bit of Dog Day Season 3. I'm just going to go through it like, okay, there's one arc done in this show. I'm going to watch the second arc when all that's out, then the third arc when
I've
all
heard
that's
of that
out.
show. Is it like a harem show or is it fantasy?
It has elements of
It
it,
has
but it's kind
elements
of
of it.
more like everybody loves everybody.
Yes, it's everyone loves everyone.
There's no actual romance really. They just are all friendly and they all hang out together.
Yeah, they're all friendly, they all hang out, and then it gets a little bit creepy when all the humans in the world treat all the other people as pets.
You've got the royalty, and 3 humans come in and pet them and play
Thank you,
catch
Tristan.
with them and take them on walks and
So that's Dog Days, I assume.
No. No.
All of my no.
I draw the line at ship girls, okay?
Other than
I
that-
will say there was something clever that I learned about it with Content Collection. Remember when the one girl was like injured
yeah, the
and
fact
then the
that-
water came
yes.
down and healed her?
Oh, no, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking the third episode where the one girl, spoiler, she dies. If you actually look back at the historical battle that took place in World War II at that place, the ship she was named after and based on sunk in the exact same way.
Oh God, they're being historically accurate.
At least for that.
God
bit.
help us all. But
Jeez.
no, what I was
Yeah.
going to say.
So does that mean we're gonna see Pearl Harbor, Chan?
No. Apparently, in the actual game, like if your ship gets injured, you have to like wait for it for like a long time for it to get repaired.
Of course,
but if
or you can pay real money and
or
we'll
you-
repair it now.
basically,
Of
yeah,
course.
and then the admiral sends her like this special water that like heals her immediately. So I thought that
of
was
course.
kind of like
there are
a
a few,
clever
there are
way.
a few nods into how the game is played. Here's something I learned that I was actually pretty disappointed to hear. Apparently, in Japan, they harshly criticized the fact that they actually had the audacity to include stakes in their story.
Oh, you mean by killing the character?
Yeah.
Well,
by
it's a
having
waifu.
girl
It's a
ship.
waifu series, and they killed one of the waifus.
Well, yes,
How
I know.
dare they?
It's risks. It's glorious. I like risks. It makes me care more. And then the CG still looks terrible.
Oh.
For the most part, there's some shots that are alright, but for the most part,
Well,
it's pretty bad.
with this
I'm kind
one,
of with
and I
Tristan
kinda-
on this one. CG, a lot of times, unless it's done really,
It's
really well,
taken
it just looks
too
kind of
far.
janky.
Oh, no, it
Like
does.
there's
Well,
some
I
parts
kinda-
of it that okay, fine, use the CG, but some of it.
I inevitably have to draw comparisons to Kirby right back at you. Well, both of them kind of have the same thing. It's like, with how much CG you're using, just go all CG. You
Right.
know,
Which I
either
brought
go
up.
one way or the other.
Which I brought up with. There's this show I watched a few seasons ago called Arpeggio of Blue Steel, which is also
Yes.
about
Oh,
battleships.
It's the same thing. It's same
But
series.
for
kind of.
for one, they're actually battleships, and for two, it's all CG.
Oh yeah. Plus,
know.
and plus I've watched at least one episode. I was planning on binging it, but then I found out that there's going to be a compilation movie with extra footage, and I was like, I'll wait for that. But I've also read some of the manga, and it's actually also more serious. There's stakes. There's
Yeah.
plot development. There's characters have issues that they deal with.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a
But
pretty
at
good
the end
show.
of the day, what brings me to Kantai Collection is the Monster Girls.
Tristan, we know you like Monster Girls.
Yes, I know, but I'm saying the designs of the Shinkaisen
Yeah.
are so much better.
Oh no, I don't.
Except-
I don't blame you. I've looked up some of them, and you can just
Yeah.
kind of tell there's a lot more effort thrown into the Shinkansen.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah,
designs.
because you have to, because with the regular Fleet Girls, you just
You just
know,
make
you just
throw
make
a
a
mole
cute, you
blob
just
at the
throw,
wall. Does
you
it
just
stick?
you
Yes,
just
we're
make a
taking
cute
it.
character design, whatever. With
Now attach
with
some
the
cannons onto
Abyssal
them.
Girls, you have
Good.
with the Abyssal Girls, you have to strike that balance of okay, they're kind of monsters, but they're also cute and appeal to people.
They're kind of ship girls. They're kind of monsters.
Kind of monsters.
Yeah.
All right, anything else,
all
Jacob?
appeal.
I haven't really watched anything else. I'm planning on, when enough of it's out, going and watching Yuri Kuma and Rolling Girls. Both of those because Yuri Kuma because I freaking loved Utna because it was so much fun to make fun of. I mean,
Yeah.
no offense to the guy. We think people just look too deep into his things at times, but
I think there's too many instances of doing it because he wants to do it. That could be.
why is she a car? Well, I felt like turning a girl into a car.
Well, yeah,
What more
I feel like
reason
with
do you
I feel
need?
like with him, all the symbolism is red herring, and you can take it at face value.
Yeah, and then Rolling Girls is because the first episode, it looked pretty promising, and the fight scenes I've heard are just really fantastic. I don't know about the rest of it, because that's all I've really heard.
I've been watching it. The first two episodes were like very fight scene heavy and like animation wise were amazing. The future episodes still look really cool. I love the visual design of the world. It's a bit more kind of not slice of lifey, but it's like the girls are like going from town to town trying to collect these stones, and, like helping people along the way. So it's that kind of a show.
Oh yeah, I also remember that I've been keeping up week to week with the second season of Gundam Build Fighters.
Oh,
Build Fighters
Jimmy.
Try. It's nowhere near as good as the first season.
But it has a combining Gundam.
It does have the advantage of Gundam Tryon 3, which is a Gao Gaigar Gundam.
And
But-
it's getting a model kit.
Tristan,
and an
Tristan, calm
SD
down.
Gundam that transforms into a real Gundam. They ignore conservation of mass and various other
I think I
issues.
missed that part. What?
That's the newest episode. There was a transformation sequence, but of the three main characters, two of them are blatant copies of the main characters from the first season, and they're not as good or they don't
See,
have
from the little bit I'd seen,
appeal.
the little bit I've seen of Try, I thought Try was like the characters from the first show just grown up. But you're saying they're different?
No, it's 7 years later, but they're different characters that look exactly like the characters from the first season. The fact that you thought it was the same characters just grown up,
That just
gives
kinda
you a-
shows.
That gives you a clue.
Okay. That is odd.
Fun fact, I found out one of the main characters from Try shows up in an episode in the first season. He has blue hair in Try. He didn't in the first season.
Dun, dun,
They
dun.
changed his hair color to make him look like the guy Sei from the first season. And neither of the new characters are as good as the old ones, and they waste the good characters, except Meijin Kawaguchi, who is forever the best character.
I haven't watched anything else besides those, but I've been reading and keeping up with Boku no Hero Academia, which is a fantastic manga, and I recommend you go read that.
Yeah, that's one of the new Shonen Jump ones, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that it's going to be like
One of the big
new
threes.
Naruto, basically.
That's not a good label anymore.
Well,
It's
I mean,
not a
new
good label
big-
anymore now.
Yeah.
After how Naruto ended.
If it's the
but-
new Naruto, then at some point we'll forget that it was supposed to be about superheroes and focus on the shipping, and
Oh,
then
no,
ditch
I'm-
it because of the
No,
shipping.
no.
Well,
People,
no.
people are people are already doing that because one of the characters has just exploded into the fandom, and they're
Is
completely.
it Frog Girl?
Of course.
Okay, good.
The fandom is completely ignoring the girl who's clearly being set up as the main heroine for this other girl.
I think my favorite part of the whole series is the fact that every character's name is literally just calling someone Big McLarge Huge. I'm not kidding. Like, the one girl, like he said, is the main heroine. Her name, like, roughly translates, like, she can control gravity somewhat, and her name roughly translates into levitation chatterbox.
And then, of course, the true
Or
hero, All Might, with his power, all for one.
Yes.
Nice.
It's
He's-
as hammy as you'd think of people going to a superhero school.
Sometimes the fan bases of manga really disappoint me.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Remember when action series were about action and not who gets with who?
Oh no, this
People
one
don't-
I'm watching.
People don't really
just-
care. People don't really care about who gets with who. They just love Frog Girl more than everyone else in the entire series.
because of the design. Like, you look at all of them, everybody looks kind of normal, and then you have Frog Girl, who looks like a frog. I mean, it's just one of those things
Well,
where she just looks
I guess
different.
people also do love All Might.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
Ichiro Oda has explicitly said that there is no romance in One Piece, and yet people will ship all the characters in One Piece.
Yeah,
you can't escape it.
You can never escape the ships.
can't.
That's why you
Well, I
watch
just- I just
Kontai
hate it.
Collection.
I just hate it when they go so far out as to like the fallout at the end of Naruto disgusts me.
Oh
fact-
god,
the
it's
fact that
disgusting but
it
hilarious.
disgusts
fact
me.
that there is an image album on Imgur titled "The Hall of Anal Devastation" that contains nothing but screenshots of people raging and flipping out about the end of Naruto.
Endless butt hurt.
It's
I mean,
so
granted
wonderful.
from a writing perspective, not that Naruto was ever concerned about this, or at least halfway through. From a writing perspective, it was pretty poor. I'll give him that. But it was never about that. It was about, he got with Hinata? That's not how it was supposed to go. No.
I'm sorry, just looking at Naruto from an outsider's perspective, I've watched a fair number of the episodes. I got all the way up to the Ninja War, which, according to Jimmy, is where it
It's
starts just falling
so
downhill fast.
Outrageous.
But up to that point, there's no effort in shipping any of the characters, and then people are just like, no, this ship's going to happen because I said it's going to happen. Therefore,
Well,
people got all butthurt when it didn't happen.
I start calling it out when you get stuff like the end of Naruto, where they start like abandoning everything that was ever written on it because their ship didn't happen.
Well,
Stuff like burning all of their merchandise because Naruto didn't get with Sakura.
Jesus.
Or my personal favorite quote from one of those pictures: "No, Sakura, you were supposed to be better than this. You were supposed to be better than my ex-girlfriend."
Ouch.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I kind of think the whole shipping thing was like, no, like the producers going to the writer and going, no, you have to end off everybody in their ships because that'll get us money.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I-
it's not as though there was no development for Naruto and Hinata, but there wasn't a lot.
There was
It's
very.
an action
there was, I
series.
stand
Exactly.
by. I stand by my opinion forever. The ship that got the most development was Naruto and Sasuke.
I mean, he's
You're gonna
not
feel
wrong.
those flames a little bit more.
He's
He's
not
not
wrong.
You're not wrong, but all right.
Accel World.
No, I haven't got to say what I've been watching.
Who
Jerk.
cares?
You're just,
Ouch.
Yeah, you're just Alex. We're the ones that matter.
Oh.
Really, I'm the one that's
I'm not the
matters.
host or anything.
No, well, you're here every week, exactly, so you can
Sorry,
just say
Alex.
what you've been
I
watching.
live
I'm
with
the
you now.
special
You're used to
treat.
it.
Yes, Jimmy's the special treat. Now go have a cookie.
All right. The main thing I've been watching recently, as of last week, I'd been watching through some of Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which is an OVA series from the late 80s through the early 90s. Apparently the longest OVA series in all of anime. I didn't know that. 110 episodes.
Wait, that was an OVA
Whoa!
series?
Yes,
It's
is.
an OVA series at 110 episodes.
Yep. No, it
Are
was-
you sure it's just not an actual series?
That's
Well, it's a series, but
weird.
it is weird. It was released direct to video over the course of a decade.
Does that still technically count as OVA if it's...
I mean, it's
Yes, it wasn't.
technically, yeah.
It didn't air on
it's
TV until after it was
technically
over.
Correct, which is the best kind of correct.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Point being, I watched through all of it. It was really good. Like, it's in my top 10 favorite anime of all time now. Really dealt into like the political and moral quandaries of war and like these two sides going at it, but then they really humanize both sides. So it's like
Which one's the
So
bad
it's-
guy?
So
Yeah,
it- so it's
basically.
Gundam.
So it's Gundam.
It's Gundam without giant robots, and
So it's
So
Gundam without the best
giant
part.
robots.
it's bigger than Gundam.
But does it have people dropping a satellite colony on the Earth?
Trying to destroy the enemy base and missing by several continents.
Doesn't have that. Because one of the things I really liked about it was that it does like military tactics really well, and like the back and forth exchanges, and the strategies and all that sort of thing. It does that really well, the political maneuvering. So it's just a really complex, great space opera show. I really liked it a lot.
Joking aside, I haven't really heard anything bad per se. It's just not many people talk about it, which I mean must mean it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big time commitment,
It's
but
prob-
basically everybody who has seen it says it's great, Which you get into that argument. The only people who have finished it are those who liked it, because if you didn't like it, you would have
Yeah.
stuck around for 110
Yeah,
episodes.
fair enough.
Yeah.
It's slow. The animation isn't always the best, but if you can look past that, it's really amazing.
I mean, original Gundam by now, the Gundam does a somersault multiple times. So
that's exciting.
Hey.
All right, so diving into the main topic for this week, we'll be talking about Accel World, which is a 2012 anime from Sunrise. Written by Reki Kawahara, the original light novels were written by him, who's the same author of Sword Art Online, Tristan's favorite anime.
Oh,
isn't it
best,
everybody's favorite?
worst- No.
Oh, obviously it's everyone's favorite top hero for at least a few years now.
No,
there
Tristan.
are no male protagonists better.
No, Tristan, you're forgetting about Mahoka guy and
Tatsuya.
Kira Yamato.
The Holy Trinity.
The Holy Trinity of
Holy Trinity of
overpowered
terrible,
power
overpowered
fantasies.
nonsense.
Yeah. All right. So diving into the show, I kind of divided it up into arcs based on like how I thought kind of the episodes flowed. So I thought the first 5 episodes kind of flow into a nice bit, which is from the beginning basically to where Haru fights Taku.
I do agree on that part. However, I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times at this point.
Yeah.
The start of it, I think, especially these days where people don't really have that much time anymore, catching your audience quickly is important. And Accel World takes a bit.
It does. It takes up until that 5th episode in order to actually really get, oh, this actually seems like it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Well, I will say it's I mean, from an action perspective and really getting the story moving, I'd say it's probably about episode 4 when she has like that accident, and she pushes
Yeah.
him out of the way. Like that was
But
that
here's,
really grabbed
here's
you.
the thing, because there's several of these things that I know would turn several people off fairly quickly. There is an obtuse amounts of exposition. I don't mind the exposition in the show because most of it leads up to something better. There's also an obtuse amount of melodrama. She
Oh,
confesses
God.
her love in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
that was the 4th
after-
episode where she dies. But
After
yeah.
talking to him for the first time in the first episode.
Yeah.
There's a few things like that. Like, it didn't bother me. I know it would bother a few
Oh
people.
yeah, like I'm also one of those people who like I don't really mind exposition. I like them getting all the exposition out of the way early as possible. So when they
Yeah.
throw all of it at the beginning,
I mean, what they do with it
I'm
later,
okay.
I
Oh, yeah,
appreciate
they go-
a lot.
they-
But it is a hurdle you need to get over.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It doesn't. It's because there are ways you can do exposition, like kind of fit it naturally into your show. It doesn't do that very well. It just kind of tells it to you. But at the same time, probably my favorite aspect of the show is the world. So I don't
Absolutely.
mind.
Oh no, the world is
exposition.
actually like.
Yeah,
I have to say that's one thing that Reki can do really well, and that is he can actually build a world fairly well. Say what you want about how bad Sao is. That first episode, he built that world up really well. And
Oh,
you're like,
yeah, no, the first episode of
The first 3, I'd
Sword Art-
argue.
Oh,
the
yeah,
first
first
few
3 or
episodes of Sword
4.
Art Online are easily some of the. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say some of the best episodes in anime, but for an opening, they are good.
They get you in there. They get you quickly. They get you established on what you're doing.
they
and,
explain everything,
and then they drop it all for lolly panties.
Whereas in Accel World, he builds up this world. It takes him like that whole first 4 episodes or so in order to build the world up well enough.
Which would be, at least, to be fair, in light novel, that would be only
That's
the
only
first.
it was only the first 2 volumes, which were
Wait, 2 volumes?
no it wasn't-
chapters.
Well, chapters. Sorry, yeah,
Okay,
chapters.
I was going to say.
No, it wasn't. volumes.
Learn your terminology, boy.
Ah.
Nah. Yeah.
I've been reading so much crap recently that it's just all kind of melding together.
Yeah. But once they finally get to the Taku part, although I do remember you and Jeremy's reactions to the Taku part,
Well, I mean, the fight was cool.
Yeah.
I will say I've always kind of I guess I never forgave Taku. Like, he was so kind of dickish to Haru, and then wanted to kill, not kill, but beat
Might as well kill.
Kageyuki Hime.
Well,
and
he
all
was
that.
being as bad as the other bullies at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I do agree. But then he spends most of his time being over repentant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
he spends all the other-
he kind of gets screwed over by the world after that.
Oh no, he
Yeah.
got screwed over the way of the world in the first place. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess the thing is,
In fact,
early on he peaked too high. I do know. Well, I mean peaked too high in the douchebag meter, basically. But I don't know. I do agree with you. It was a little too much for as it first came out. But I
Yeah.
think Reki's the kind of guy who does it as he goes along.
Yeah, and
He doesn't really have it all laid out. He's sort of
A vague
got
idea
a
of what he's
vague
I got an
going
idea.
where he's
This is what I
going, and
kind of
then-
want to do, so I'm gonna
and
do
then
it
as he
this way. Let's see how it
decides
goes.
the
Oh
events of
crap!
he decides the events of the arc, and then he's just like, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah, it's like, oh, I think I could bring Taku back, but not really paying any mind to how bad Taku looked when he first came
Oh
out.
yeah, like
I mean,
It brings to mind Kinnikuman, actually. Do you know how many times Robin Mask tried to kill the main character before he finally became a mainstay?
oh god.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you say, because I mean, admittedly, it's not as though he brushes it over. Because of how he acted in the first 5 episodes, he is the Avenger, the Repenter for like the rest of the series.
And he also serves to Haru, who's new to all of this, as the kind of, you don't want to go down that path, or this is a bad idea. It's very easy to lose yourself with all
Yeah.
that's going on.
This was the guy that you've known like your entire life, and
like,
look what
you
he
knew
did to him.
You knew him. He was one of your best friends. And then he was an asshole who tried to challenge the girl to the battle while she was
Unconscious.
while she was unconscious in the hospital.
Shameful display.
I will say, I remember, because it's been a while since I watched it, but Tristan, Jeremy, and I kind of watched through the whole series in like a few days, a couple months ago. I was really invested in that moment where the crazy bully guy was driving the car towards them. She froze time and then used up all of her points through the like super special technique where she could like move through time to like save him. The problem with that, though, being that she recovers from it with like no injuries whatsoever.
Well, technically not no injuries. There is the scene where she's posing in the swimsuit for him. Shut up, people watching. But he does notice that she got a few scars. Not nearly as much as you probably would for getting hit by the bender of a car, but future medicine.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of putting
yeah.
it up to. It's like what 2050 or something like that. It's future medicine. Let's just
Future
say that.
medicine.
Yeah.
that you can let go.
Nanomachine, son.
I get that, but it
Do
just
they harden in response to physical trauma?
it just does make it more like
Yeah.
if the medicine was really that good, then they should have been as worried about her getting hit by the car in the first place.
Yeah.
It's still
My-
one of
my
those
thing
things where
is-
you just saw somebody get hit by a car in front of you. What is your gut reaction going to be, really?
Yeah.
My thing is, like, at the time watching, I can let go, but thinking about it now, just that whole, you can sacrifice, 90% of your points, and then you can stop time, but still move yourself. That's really pushing it on the believability.
There's a lot of pushing it, but
Well, there's also the manner in which Accel World gets all its rules out. To be fair, they do play it, and it doesn't stop being a thing after they introduce it. But they do introduce it at the most convenient of times.
Yeah. I kind of had, not that I'm not saying this necessarily would have been like the best thing for the series to do, but I think it would have been interesting had either she had actually died or maybe just gotten like injured, like she broke her legs or something like that from that accident.
Something
so
that
that
was
it actually
permanent.
had long-term consequences.
Basically-
instead of just landing her in the hospital.
So
to
You can't
set
help
up
but
the
wonder
next-
if she was supposed to die, actually.
yeah, just kind of the way it was. It's like, oh, she probably kind of died. She's just she's in a coma or something. But no, Regi decided no, she kind of needs to be here because she's
'Cause-
kind of the main character's.
Right, but I feel like that could have
because
been.
there's no other way to continue the storyline because
But-
what's he gonna do without?
But I'll be fair to it. It wasn't until the third watch through that I actually started to notice that.
I don't know, but I think if she had, maybe not so much if she had actually died, but if she had like gotten like her legs broken or something, but could still go into the world, the Accel World, I should say,
a more lasting
like
consequence.
something to really jumpstart him into like something I need to fight for kind of thing,
It probably would have been
hero.
strong in the it probably would have been strong in the long run, but I could also name a couple of problems if it went that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
cliche.
it's kind of take it.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also remember pointing out because there's a whole shtick where he's really like desperate, because when Taku's beating the crap out of him, and then he gets his wings for the first time. But then later on in the Chrome Disaster arc, it's established that if you
Zero Fill.
if you lose your hope, you kind of go out of your avatar.
To be fair, he didn't really have any control of his avatar when he was starting to lose it.
That's true. He was early to the game then, but I guess it's a weird concept that it happens at certain times but not at others.
Well,
when somebody
that one
gets
I can
really
honestly kind of defend in the fact
traumatized.
that he still wants to fight and defend Kuruyuki Hime. He just doesn't think he can do it.
It's not that he's completely lost his
yeah.
motivation to do it. He'd probably still throw himself, but he's just kind of going, I can't do this, can I?
I mean,
I'll throw myself at him again and probably lose, but I can't stop throwing myself at him. What do I do?
Honestly, you could kind of thinking about it, you could kind of compare it to the final battle in Dragon Ball Z when Vegeta's just continuing to get up and go after Boo, even though he knows he can't actually
do anything.
All he can do is stall him while getting Goku the time. He knows he can't actually win the fight. He knows all that he can do is just keep standing up. So,
but that's all he can do, so he's going to do it.
Yeah,
right. Mm-hmm. So the idea is that it's if you lose your will to fight, not so
entirely.
much okay, and. Then why did what happened to her later? We're skipping ahead here a bit, but why would happen to her? Seeing that image be replayed, make her lose her will to fight.
Mental
completely.
trauma is a thing in this show, and it's shown that repeatedly.
I know. I guess.
And I don't know. To be fair, because of all the time that people invest in the world and everything, I guess not tantamount to murder, but you basically erased an entire person because all his memories are gone.
Yeah. But
and ruined any relationships he possibly had in the world.
AKA his girlfriend with
basically turned yourself into a demon in the eyes of everybody. And while she's still pushing forward to it, accepting the responsibility, which I can appreciate. I'm looking at you, Saber. Sorry, that was a low blow.
Tristan, just stop punching everybody's waifus in the gut. Just stop it.
Taking out the waifus.
I can appreciate she's still taking responsibility for it, but when you look down at it, being misled by one person caused her to really end up in a crappy situation. Yeah. So, just for that point, she probably had to sit there for a moment and rethink her life. What are you doing up at 2 p.m.? I've lost control of my life.
Although, well, she wasn't making pudding. although I do sort of it felt very convenient that it happened then and not at any other point in her past, because she's been hiding out away from the accelerated world for however long
I think it said about a year
for that, and she never stopped to think about it and deal with it. So I mean, okay, I can kind of understand.
I think it's probably one of those things where she has stopped and thought about it, but it was one of those things where she hasn't had to do it to someone who actually saw her do it.
Yeah, but I mean, he was an asshole. Yellow Radio is an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she even brings that up, and it's just kind of like, what, you're not going to kill me? You'll just end up in that situation again. But here's the great difference. I kind of cared about Red Rider. I never liked you.
Yeah.
So
and then ass kicking commences.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those moments that it feels kind of overly convenient, but
it feels a little overly convenient, but it still makes sense.
It's well within my suspension of disbelief.
I mean, for me, it's less of a thing of me having a problem with her going through it. It's just if you're establishing this as a thing, then it should happen when any character feels like they lose the will to fight.
Yeah, but at the same time, no writer's perfect, and I doubt any writer fully comes up with every single mechanic of their worlds.
I mean, that's true, but like we said, one of the Accel World's strongest components is its world mechanics, and that it does all work together pretty solidly.
The thing is, I'm not going to blame it that it didn't bring it up earlier, because maybe it wasn't established then. I would blame it if it didn't bring it up later.
If the whole Taku thing had happened later, after it had shown off Zero Fill, we probably would be more upset, but it wasn't an established thing, so it's one of those things where I can still kind of just defend it and it's not a thing. He probably had this going on in his mind, and therefore he still had a little bit of a will to fight.
That's fair, but in the case of later on the show, we have the part where Haru loses his wings, and at that point he's thinking of uninstalling Burst Link altogether.
Well, the only thing keeping him driving was
his friends.
Well, no, he tried re-challenging Ash Roller.
Oh, that,
because he tried to see maybe I can still do this, and when that happened, at that point, he was just about to give up.
Also, Ash Roller, best character.
Ash Roller, best character.
Yeah, he shows.
He's especially good in the dub.
Oh, no, I've seen that.
Chrome Disaster, best character.
He's not actually a character because he doesn't say anything.
Still best
He
character.
says devour.
Devour
Killing-
Cashard.
Did I tell you? Did I tell
Killing
you guys
and
this?
eating other characters
Kill
counts as enough
Cashard.
of an
Devour
action.
Cashard.
No. Did I tell you guys this? In the Japanese dub, it's very clear it's a young boy saying the Chrome
You
Disaster's
got
line.
lucky.
No, not Ash Roller's
Oh.
Chrome Disaster's
Yeah.
line. But in the English version, they kind of just do kind of like this robotic auto-tune thing. It sounds just like Sinistar.
Yeah, well, actually, I watched most of the show dubbed with you,
Yeah.
but I watched one episode of the sub, and that had Ash Roller in it, and I guess I should have figured, but he uses a lot of English, which is pretty funny.
Horrible amounts of English, and it's glorious.
in either version, because I adore as all hell that they gave him like 3 times as many curse words in the English version.
Oh
really
yeah,
did.
you told me about that one. It was great.
I was actually surprised how much
Cursing.
outright cursing the English version.
Yeah,
threw
well,
in.
because
Like when
Did I
his
tell
bike
you-
crashes.
No, well, did I tell you when he loses control of Chrome Disaster when he's fighting Nomi, he outright says the F word straight at him.
yeah,
Why he screams it at him, and I'm like, whoa.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Well, I rewatched that episode. Actually, I remembered that. You know, since we're talking about it, I guess it's worth bringing up. The show is licensed by Viz Media over here, and the Haru is played by a guy named Eric Kimmerer. I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Last time I looked, it was one of his first roles.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Alibaba in Magi, and he's Ryuji in the English dub of Toradora. But he only has like 5 or 6. Like he's pretty new.
Yeah, it was one of those things where, like, when it was coming out, I decided to, like, look up the characters because I'd seen the sub of it, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of curious what the English dub characters are. And it was like, the way that he actually got his role voice acting for Viz Media was like a competition at a con somewhere or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
Most of the people are new to it. The most professional person on it is technically in the English dub is technically Kuroyuki Hime, who is
Well, I was gonna say Vic Mignogna, who plays the Yellow King.
Oh yeah, but of the main cast, Vic Mignogna
Yeah.
is kind of like, well, we like your voice, but we only want to pay you for 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Also, he plays a hammy villain, so that's
Oh,
great.
he plays a great hammy.
Oh, the Yellow
But,
Radio is the hammiest of villains in this show.
I believe her name is escaping me right now,
I
but the person who does Kuroyuki Hime actually does a lot of web voiceovers and everything. Her name is Rina-chan on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you look her up, she actually does a lot of like voices for Newgrounds and everything. She's Marvy in Neptunia. I appreciate that.
okay, yeah.
But she herself is a budding voice actor, but only tends to get a couple of roles in the professional and still does mostly web stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'll say it,
a very
with this,
non-standard dub, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, this Eric guy, he, when Haru is being kind of whiny Haru, it
Shinji
kind
Haru.
of Shinji Haru, it kind of
Yeah.
Shinjaru.
it grates on you a bit, but when he does his intense Haru is like excellent. Like when he screams
You
and
know
does
what that?
that.
You know what that shows? It shows a good voice actor because he can make it whiny and he can do an actual yell. I'm sorry, it's one thing I can have.
It is very important to me. If you are casting someone who yells a lot, make sure they can yell good.
We're looking at you, Aaron from Attack on Titan.
Bryce Papenbrook.
Yeah, I can't. He's
God, I actually stop doing that. I actually watched that series dubbed. You're triggering me, man.
But no, that's one of the main things. He got a lot of main character roles for a while. It was hard to get.
because he got
Honestly, I
Kirito.
thought, well, yeah, but honestly, like he did that mask guy in Space Dandy too, Papenbrook.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's just kind of like there's some people you should cast as menacing people, or just
But
people who don't
he did a
scream
good
lot.
job as the mask guy.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, but that's
No,
what I'm
we're
saying.
not saying
He does
he's
a
not.
good
He
job when he
doesn't have to
tuckers
yell.
down, when he doesn't yell a lot, because like I almost feel sorry for him because apparently he yelled so much in the role of Kirito that he actually can't really recreate it.
He broke his voice box.
Yeah, for that. And,
Yeah.
eh,
Man, the
I'm
guy
sorry,
who
you can't yell that well.
The guy who does Goku is probably like, psh, amateur.
Goku's voice actor passed out in the booth. If I'm
Oh
not
no,
I
mistaken.
know.
that's an actual like horror stories in voice acting where like a lot of the Dragon Ball characters just like passed out from yelling so much.
Yes.
I can believe
Yeah.
it.
Super Saiyan 3, man. He screams for like 5
3 minutes
straight.
straight.
It's
I thought it was
so
3
bad.
minutes.
Normally they'd edit that, but he
He did it.
yeah, give Dragon Ball some credit where they do. They got a cast that could scream.
Yeah.
Well, if any show needed it, it's Dragon Ball.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. So getting back to Accel World, there's kind of episodes 6 and 7 are kind of this mini arc with Aqua Current,
Yep.
who helps Haru get some points and then erases his memory. And then Taku has a fight with Kuryuki Hime where she's kind of telling him to stop being like this, be with
Yeah.
your friends,
Hey,
blah blah blah.
Stop being a dick.
Pretty much. Like, let's be honest, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah. So then that's a fine arc, but there's not really a whole lot to talk about
I
there.
There's a
didn't
little
think
bit
about-
to talk about if you've read the
Well,
light novel.
Aqua
one thing-
Current, Aqua Current comes in later, but we don't have later yet.
No, we don't have later. The furthest we got was like volume 6 or something before they started doing it in America, and therefore they took it off of the internet. So they could
And
avoid
it's gonna
copyright
it's
issues.
gonna wind up. They're gonna publish 2 volumes, and then they're gonna sit on the license forever.
I really hope it doesn't
If they
come
do
to
that, I'm gonna be so upset.
Have they?
Yeah.
I know that English companies have been starting to do more licensing with light novels.
Yeah.
Have been a few that have succumbed to that. Like the first 2 came out and then they didn't
I mean,
continue.
I don't know specifically, but I'm sure there are several.
wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised
I
doing.
need to look up.
Yeah.
I have the first volume. I need to look up the second volume, but
See when it comes
I
out.
hope they do continue it because I do enjoy it enough.
Yeah.
The thing is, especially with the English dub of Accel World, they put it on like Neon Alley or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
a
Viz
very
Media's thing.
a very tiny.
well, no,
Community.
it's on Hulu too. I've seen it on Hulu.
Yeah, but it's just this is one kind of like Symphogear where
It flies
what-
under the radar because
Yeah.
because nobody bothers.
Nobody bothers
they
to
don't
look it up.
bother
So,
to
like, if you
advertise
could
it,
go
you
cosplay
don't
as,
hear
like,
about
say, Silver. Oh crap, Silver Crow. Why did that escape me? But if you did that and people are like, dude, you look cool, so cool. What are you from?
yeah. Which
Yeah.
was the same thing that happened to Symphogear
Yeah.
with some of our friends.
Yeah, they
They
cosplayed as the
cosplayed-
group. They did a group cosplays.
Really good series, but they fly complete.
It
I-
flies
I-
completely under the
Accel
radar.
World doesn't fly completely under the radar. It does that compared to Symphogear.
It has a
has
small-
lot
it has a
more.
small
as
following.
much
Yeah.
as you hate it, Tristan, you have to admit
Sal helped it.
it's because it had the same original writer as Sal.
Probably. No, I'll take that. Although the vice versa happened to me after I finished Accel World. Wow, he wrote something else. I'm sure I'll like it just as much.
Oh,
Interesting. So you actually saw Accel World first, then Sword Art Online.
Well, yeah, because
went
after
the
me and my
opposite.
friend finished, it was like, that was awesome. I'm so pumped right now. Yeah, me too. He wrote this other thing that's airing right now. Let's watch it. You can see my face right now.
Yeah, for those of you out there who don't know, Accel World is one of Tristan's favorite anime, and Sword Art Online is one of his least favorites.
one of.
So-
I think it's like it is his least.
Yeah, I think you guys. I think I once asked you guys. I have to look at one of my most favorites and my least favorite. Does this make me a tsundere?
It's not like I like you anything, Reki. All right, and then we get into 8 through 12 is the Chrome Disaster arc, which is probably my favorite
Oh,
arc of the
it's easily
show.
one of everybody's favorite arcs.
Because Chrome Disaster is the best character.
I think it had the highest moments.
it
but
had the highest moments
really
and
do.
the biggest lows at the same time. I
No,
think.
the biggest lows happened in Snow.
No, I was saying the
Yeah.
biggest lows due to the fact, like, character-wise. Like, it had Black Lotus getting her biggest low.
Okay, that's true.
It had a couple characters getting that whole low point and then just kind of, like, rebounding in a way.
Well, you had Taku, who started at a low point because
Yeah.
he's still sort of recovering at that point.
He's
We
still
had,
extremely
Black
depressed.
Lotus during the battle itself, and we were also introducing a new character.
Best character. One of the best characters.
One of the best characters. I can't not
Oh,
hate the battleship.
are we talking about the one avatar with the drill?
No.
That was a fantastic character who appeared in one shot
Yeah,
and will
that-
never show up again.
What was his issues?
Clearly.
No,
this
Scarlet
one,
Rain.
I think this one is that. Well, it also gives us a chance to mention one of my favorite parts. Everyone who
all the
enters
unique abilities,
Yeah,
basically.
everyone who enters the game, basically, their avatars are drawn from basically their subconscious thoughts, desires, traumas, things like that. As a result,
Everybody's unique.
yeah, everyone has a unique ability in the game, a unique ability and appearance. Where you notice already with some of the concepts of Accel World that the guy's starting to learn from some of the mistakes he made in Sword Arts. Sword Arts being, oh, I have dual wielding. Does anyone else have it? No. Oh, hey, I can fly. Does anyone else have it? No, but they all have other things.
Yeah, they all have their own thing. Hey, she's made of blades.
Hey, he has a really powerful pile bunker. Hey, she can heal people.
Sure, let's go with healing.
I did think it was interesting because I was rewatching skipping ahead a bit, the what are they called? It's the Skyraker episodes. It is interesting to think about the fact that she has prosthetic legs in the real world, and yet she wasn't able to fly, in the game, whereas Taku can.
Well, the reason for that is she had prosthetic legs, so she couldn't run, she couldn't jump, so her desire was she wanted to run and jump like a real person. So she was given someone with the best legs, heyo, in Accel World. She didn't fly, she jumped good, and that's what her trauma was. But then she started to grow and she wanted to surpass it.
She technically can fly in one of the later arcs, but
Technically.
it's one of those things
No,
where
Do I have to judo chop you?
No,
No,
light
not
novel
fly.
spoilers.
Not fly.
it's really
Jump
not
good.
even. It's really not even spoilers considering the arc, but oh well.
Yeah, but what I liked about it is that did introduce a juxtaposition. Haru is the first one who can do it, but that's because he is the first one who legitimately wanted to do it. She tried to do it, but her trauma when she went into the game was she didn't have legs. She wanted real legs. She has real legs and can jump good.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It just
Yeah.
makes me wonder, what is it specifically about Haru that, makes him want to fly so bad? Is it just, the bullying thing?
Well,
It's probably one of those
from-
things where he wanted to escape and be free, and what's the most free thing you can see of when you're a human?
From my
a
s-
bird flying in the sky.
Well, from what I saw, and this was in his dream sequence in the early ones, he was always shown, and this is partially going to his short stature. He's always shown low to the ground, basically beneath everybody else.
He wants to be
So-
above everyone.
Well, above everyone, and
Could be a
innocent.
tyrant.
not so much above everyone, but this is kind of implied with later dialogue. Not above everyone, but it always symbolizes Kuryuki Hime as a butterfly, always flying overhead. So he wants to be something that can fly, basically with everyone. Not above everyone else, but with everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. You made me think, bring up the short thing. I know there's some people who are a little frustrated by the fact that
We were
Haru's
talking about this on the way
Haru's
here.
character design is vastly different from all the other characters in terms of style.
Yeah, the style is I can, the short and fat thing, fine, but he looks like a character from a completely different series.
Yeah, he looks like someone from Kinniku Man.
He's meat.
Oh God.
But I was thinking about it, and because I'd always had the complaint, but I could never think of a really
just
good
like
way
in the
to
back of
put-
your mind,
it
he
was,
has this
I could never
thing,
think
what
of
is
the
wrong with
right
it?
way to explain it. But then I realized because look at Steins Gate and Daru, or High School of the Dead has the one guy. Oh, Kota Hirano, because he's named after the Helsing writer. But
Wow.
Fittingly
and
enough.
they're both fat, and the guy from High School of
Stocky.
the Dead, he's basically Haru with glasses and a gun fixation instead of video games.
I would say the difference between those two is that while Haru was very much singled out and it is a part of his personal problems, those other two are hammy as hell and very content in what they're doing.
Well, true,
but it's still one
the
of those things
stylistic
where-
thing. Neither of them looks out of place in their series. They, their design fits with everyone else. Haru just
looks like he's from a different
He looks like he
series.
got lifted out of another show and put in.
Yeah. No, he,
The only way I can come up with the whole reason why he looks like that would be some weird thing where it's this is how he perceives himself compared to everyone else, but that wouldn't make sense because
it's weird.
Never elaborated on.
It's weird because on the one hand I kind of like it because you see too many of same face in anime where they all look kind of like the same
Is it
shoujo
Kirito,
tropes.
or is it the main character from Mahoka, or is it the guy from Out of No? I don't know.
But
Hey, the guy from Aldnoah has a different eye color, and also he looks much. He doesn't have any feelings. Remember?
That doesn't
has
mean he looks
He has a
different.
different eye color, and his face doesn't move.
There you go.
except his cyborg eye.
So I can appreciate diversity in character designs, but at the same time, because he is so short compared to everybody else, and so just different.
I'm not minding the shortness. It's the whole fact that it's basically just take it from everybody looks like an actual human, and then you throw in a chibi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's it's one of those things where I can understand where you're coming from. I just was never bothered
I was
by
able
it.
to look past it. I can
Yeah.
see. I've seen a lot of complaints online, people I couldn't just get past this one
Part of
fact.
it, but
It's
part of me is kind of that's like comparing Goku to Krillin.
I can let it go.
You know?
Mostly.
Well-
don't start. Mostly just because the most important parts aren't that doesn't really matter. The most important parts aren't about Haru. It's about Silver Crow.
Yeah.
Who they all look different, so he fits in with other avatars.
Yeah.
Yeah, as to the Goku Krillin thing, while Krillin is obviously, short and,
Bald.
kind of bald, and, bullied and
All right,
things
what
like
about-
that.
what about
he
Goku
shaved
and
his head
Oolong?
because
Well,
The
Oolong's a pig.
Oolong's a talking
Certainly.
Goku and Yajirobe.
Well, once again, Yajirobe fits the Akira Toriyama's aesthetic.
Well, is it
you know?
is it any different though?
It kind of is
Yeah.
because it's still the same art style. If you
I
look
don't
at
know, I
Haru, he
feel like-
kind of looks like a different art style.
I just
I'm
feel
sorry
like
to
another. I just feel like another series. There will be the non-standard character design.
I mean, there are. That'll crop up, but
It's
not
still-
with the main characters.
Yeah, it's
unless,
usually background
unless
characters
it's done
or side characters.
intentionally as a specifically targeted thing, and this it does.
It is
doesn't
specifically
really
targeted, but it never comes out and says
and
why.
it doesn't seem to have a particular reason for it.
Yeah, I think that's the key. That you see that in other series with one-off characters or minor characters, but with the protagonist, that's more rare.
Or like
All right,
a
what
gag
about-
series.
All right, what about Rock Lee and Naruto?
I mean, yeah, he.
Bushy
I mean,
brows.
he's still
Rock
basically.
Lee very much as a non-standard character design.
I mean, it's not standard, but it still fits pretty well with the thing. I mean,
Well,
the only
that's-
really weird things are his eyes, and there's enough other weird
To be
shit
fair,
going
it's
on
not
with
the eyes, it's the eyebrows.
eyebrows and eyelashes. But there's enough other weird stuff going on with eyes.
I don't
Everything
know.
about the Uchihas that you let that's fine.
I don't know. It's just there's examples like that just didn't really make me bother. It just didn't bother me that much.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're all still. I would say it if he was suddenly drawn with, say we go with full Kinnikuman, he's drawn with really thick lines while everybody else still has the slim lines and everything.
Yeah, fair
You know,
enough.
like he
Right.
would just had a blatantly different color scheme and everything. I kind of see it a little more. But if it's just his eyes, whatever. I honestly prefer changing the eye. With anime characters, the eyes and the hair are sometimes the most you can do.
Yeah, and also getting back to this Chrome Disaster arc, this arc introduces Unico, who's definitely one of my favorite characters.
Scarlet Rain. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I still say my favorite part about Scarlet Rain is when they made the Figma of her. They also made a model to scale of the immobile fortress that you can use as a table.
I know that you
Yeah,
want
I
that.
should. Well, I looked at that and I was like, I would buy that, but my God, how much
It's one
would
of
it
those things where you
cost?
hear like they're
Yeah.
making it. Oh, they're just making it. Okay, it's gonna be like a side. It's to scale. How big is? Oh
They really-
dear God.
What amuses me the most about it is that they did it just to do it.
Yeah.
There was clearly no intention of ever selling this thing. They did it just to say that
Well,
they could.
if they just sell a couple, they probably make their
still-
profit.
Like you can just see like
So
there's
it's
the
so
figure about
expensive.
I want to say it's 4 inches probably at max height, at best. Yeah.
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 And then you have this thing right behind it that's 4 foot tall, and you're just this fits in there.
You know what? I would honestly say this table we're using right now.
Yeah.
It would probably we could probably use it as a replacement for the table we're using right now.
Well, it
Wow.
not be as
Yeah.
even, but
Not be as even, but probably
size,
roughly
yes.
that size.
So this thing is thousands of dollars then.
Well,
probably only hundreds.
Yeah,
Okay.
they probably, since there was only one of it made to my knowledge, it
Oh,
probably
okay.
wasn't. Yeah, probably wasn't built to last.
No,
they have it.
it was one of
they
the-
have it display in a glass case in a Good Smile Cafe.
Okay, see,
Yeah,
so
which-
it's not-
So
Yeah.
it wasn't a Game Boy that could survive a bombing.
Oh
yeah,
no,
it's
it-
probably not that
It
sturdy.
would probably fall apart if you sneezed at it.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. It's probably sturdy enough that it doesn't fall apart while it's standing there, but it wasn't made for mass production.
It wasn't
Yeah.
made to move around and do stuff.
No.
Yeah,
Right.
although there's even a light inside of it. If you connect it to the Figma Scarlet Rain, Figma Scarlet Rain's lights will light up.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
It's like
There's
it
a
is
lot of
some-
love put into that one.
Yeah, and with the Figmas in general, and I would honestly say the designs and everything of the avatars in Accel
Oh
World.
yeah, the designs
There's
of
a-
Accel World are probably one of
Yeah,
my
they're
favorites.
simple, but simple enough. But there's plenty of thought put behind most
Yeah.
of them.
No, they are really well done. Although I was sort of thinking
It
the other
was-
day that they're probably saving on quite a bit of animation budget because they don't have to animate the mouths moving since most of them are just masks.
Yeah, but to their credit, the textures and Jeremy brought this up during the Chrome Disaster arc. Anything that happens to the characters stays.
in terms of injuries.
Like
Oh,
Silver
during
Crow-
that one dive, yeah. But
Well, not even during that one dive. Silver Crow's injuries that he sustained a couple of episodes ago are still there. They didn't forget about it.
they're just kind of like scratches, or
Well, not scratches. His entire shoulder pad came off. There's dents and chinks and most of his body, it stays
I
there.
mean, it's Sunrise. They're a very confident studio.
Yeah, I know, and they had the budget to do it. To be fair,
I
so
was
I guess
more
I can't give
thinking
them
when
that
you
much
were
praise.
saying like the
But it
damage
looks
stays.
good.
Like he lost his legs. Oh, okay, he still doesn't have his legs. Well, crap. What do we do now?
So he's
phooey.
the Zeong.
Clearly. And then there's this whole thing with the armor of destruction, gets destroyed, but then it kind of
Comes back.
comes into him. And like you said, in that one fight against Seiji, it kind of like takes over for a minute. But within the what they cover in the anime, at least, that arc is kind of left hanging, by the
Oh,
end.
Yeah.
It comes back in the light novels.
I figured.
I've read bits of what happens, and the basic thing that I've heard is, how like the Chrome Disaster had like
Hey,
those
hey.
like whip things.
That's
you
it.
are
Well,
you are
judo
getting a
chop.
little bit into spoilers.
And
I
you're
know
getting
you want-
and you're getting into explaining all the extra convoluted stuff that'll eat up a bunch of time.
Yeah,
Like eating up time.
the thing is, I'm with you. I really wish it got more, but
But no, we have to make Love Live.
Did Sunrise do Love Live?
Well, that-
Reki came out and said basically he wants a season 2 of Accel World, but the studio who did Accel World is too busy with their idol shows.
because it probably pays more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moe sells.
It's true.
Moe and giant robots sell.
These are small robots.
Except we don't even
technically.
see that many giant robot shows nowadays.
No.
And even if we do, they're
Really-
on CG.
Yeah.
Really,
Well,
Gun-
at least
as far as I'm concerned.
Gundam G Reconquista is at least all 2D.
Yeah, but that's Gundam.
That's Gundam.
It would be heresy to not put Gundam in 3D.
You mean 2D?
Yeah.
Okay. So, next arc, episodes 13 through 17, we get into the Seiji arc, the kind of the second half of the
Yeah.
I keep
show.
saying Seiji, but I always know him by Nomi.
Yeah.
Nomi? Okay, Nomi.
Well, yeah, you know me.
Because that's what they.
Damn you.
That's also they always call him. No.
Yeah, they
Oh,
always
you're-
call him
you're
Nomi. They
right.
never call him Seiji because he's a scumbag.
This is personally my favorite arc because I do like how even with Haru taking strides at this point, they basically kick him down again just to see him crawl back up, and he does so
Yeah.
really awesomely.
I do like that as a whole concept, like, throwing your character down so they can build themselves back up. At the same time, though, I feel like it's taken down a bit by the fact that Nomi is just such a one-note villain. Like, they try to bring in some sympathy with him at the end, but really,
Not-
he's just evil.
He
It's
sure
not-
is the
I
one
mean,
note
he's not even
villain
really
in a way.
evil. He's just a selfish douchebag.
It's
not.
I
It's
argue
not so much.
He is
One
the
note,
king
so
of
much as-
NTR.
one note I will agree with, but they didn't try to make him sympathetic.
They just tried to explain his motivation.
what he was doing, but that's
Yeah.
not the same as trying to.
Yeah,
make
but I
someone
guess my
sympathetic.
point being that, like, he wasn't a very interesting villain to me, and he's the villain that carries us through the entire arc, whereas in the previous half of the show was kind of split up into other...
I kind of
couple
didn't even
other
see him as a
things.
thing that was kind of driving you through the arc. Yeah, Haru wanted to beat him and get his wings back, but what was driving you through the arc was Haru training.
Well, yeah.
Him just learning how to actually fight without his wings and
It was
going
a-
through the whole the Acceleration Research Society subplot, which once again is going to be just a reoccurring thing in the light novels.
Yeah. Nomi kind of has that Majin Buu thing with me, Well, it is a thing in RPGs in general. If you take something from
Someone.
Well, yeah, if you take something from someone or make it feel personal to the person watching or the person playing, if you take something from them, it becomes personal. It becomes dirty that this person is walking around with your stuff.
this from me. I'm going to take
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Well, that's what I felt was effective against Majin Buu because what he was taking away from the heroes was the heroes themselves. But then he was using their powers and everything. It's like, diabolical. Give me back my favorite character.
Give me back my Destructo
and then-
Disc.
And then they drug it. Well, nobody ever really bothered using Destructo Disc.
I like Destructo Disc.
Except Krillin, despite the fact that it was that when it hit,
Frieza
it was
used
so
it better.
beautifully effective.
Frieza
But,
used it better.
Yeah, but it is the thing where, honestly, when I first watched him, he was a villain that frustrated me, but in a good way because
It was motivation, and you actually felt
Yeah.
motivated.
yeah,
Yeah.
he held the main characters in a vice that they couldn't escape with, and I guess under an analysis, kind of in a BS manner, but still in a way, he was this douchebag that you really hated.
No, I mean, it definitely does that. It makes you hate him. I guess like I said, I really like the Chrome Disaster arc, and then the fact that, like, this arc takes up basically the entire second half of the show, I wonder if it needed to be as long maybe as it was.
Well, it technically doesn't take up the entire half because then we go into
The worst arc of the series, except for one thing, Crimson King Bolt.
Crimson King Bolt.
I personally like it, but
No, it's not a bad arc, and it
its
does
placing is iffy.
Its placing is a little bit iffy because
Yeah.
it's thrown in the middle of an arc, and
Yeah.
then there's also the fact that, I mean, it's just it's a one-off thing in a way, but what happens in it still kind of affects the main outcome.
It affects what happens, but only like tangentially, and you know, a lot of what happens you could basically ignore it.
Yeah.
Except for
Yeah.
Crimson King Bolt. Because
Yeah.
Because everybody loves
honestly,
Crimson
I
King
can see the. All right, what do we do with this one? I don't know. Its location's really iffy. What do we do with this? All right, is there any reason to keep this, dude? Slides over to design for Crimson King Bolt.
No, doesn't need the
I'm
design
going.
for Crimson King Bolt. Just his
Just his
explains
ability.
his ability, and just like
He turns
Okay,
into a
yeah.
Gundam when
You know
he
what?
gets a
You know
bunch of
what?
metal.
You know, what? I'm looking at this. I have, with all the CG going around, I haven't animated a giant robot in a while. We're doing this.
No, yeah, I agree, man. That's kind of the most troublesome arc. I think part of it maybe being because, like, rather than maybe
Not
if
the
they
arc
had,
itself, but where it is.
yeah, like because it literally is,
It's
you know,
not a
he's
bad
about
arc.
to defeat Nomi, and then Chiyu comes in and heals him, and that's like a big twist. And then we go completely away
Yeah.
from it for 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been better to maybe be like, all right, we're about to fight Seiji again, then go to the other 2 episode thing, and then maybe come back. So at least it's not in the
It was
middle
only
of the
2
fight.
episodes. I thought it was like 3.
It's just 2.
And I mean,
18 and
I mean,
19.
I can't. I mean, we watched it. At
2
least,
years ago, I think.
but we watched it like as a whole. Like
Yeah.
we weren't waiting week to week.
Yeah.
So I can just imagine how
How disjointed.
frustrated that the people watching it week to week must
Oh,
have
God,
been.
yeah.
Because like they get that cliffhanger and then whoops, completely different arc.
Wait, no. How does he beat him? He has to beat him.
The thing
How
with
does
the
he beat
Nomi
him?
arc, and this is, I keep drawing comparisons to Dragon Ball. I don't know why.
Because
But
shonen.
Well,
Dragon
yeah.
Ball is one of the biggest shonens.
I think Reki wants to write a shonen story. He wanted to write a shonen story with sword arts, but kept taking himself too seriously. But then he wrote a shonen
I
story
think-
with Accel World.
I think one of the things also, like, even with Accel World, like, it's one of the things, like, light novels in general, it does also have, like, come into, like, harem-y aspects because...
Yeah,
I
with
mean-
light novels in general, I feel like they try to have the best of both worlds to varying effects.
I mean,
They
parts
try.
parts
And
of
then-
that, you know, it'll depend on what
The
they're doing.
publishers,
Like,
really.
yeah, sometimes the publishers will just tell you flat out, "Oh yeah, no," and you also have to throw this in. Like,
If you read the
we've noticed
afterwards,
we noticed you didn't meet the minimum tsundere quota.
I mean,
No,
you know,
we're not
like, there's-
kidding. Like, you can
like,
read, like, the afterwards on a couple of these, and you just have the authors go,
Yeah.
like, well, the
I will-
publishers wanted me to do this, so I got them to
I mean,
compromise.
I mean, obviously they can't come flat out and say, "Oh yeah, no, I was gonna do something completely different," but the publisher said no.
See, I
you
was
have
going to
to
do something
this.
actually cool, but
But-
then the publishers told me to do
I mean,
this.
like if you look at
Yeah.
Ken Akamatsu who wrote Love Hina, Negima, and
I don't
a-
know.
there was something else, you know. But you know, right after Love Hina goes and he has this proposal. He wants to do Negima, and obviously
Magical shonen.
the publishers are just like, "Oh no, you wrote Love Hina, you wrote your rom-com, and that sold great. So we want you to do that again." So has to
Throw in a
redo
rom-com.
Negima as a rom-com. But then, over the course of the story, he managed to shift it over to a shonen story.
To the point where the
And it-
publishers
like
realized
they
it too
couldn't
late.
really do anything about it at that point.
yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, we'll just leave them alone. What could possibly happen?
Oh
But-
wait.
So and then
I got it, suckers.
going back to light novels, the author of the Campione series wrote another series, and in the afterword of the first volume, he flat out says that the publishers, when he was making his proposal, wanted him to do another series that was basically the exact same thing as Campione.
Yeah,
And then he had to sell them on the other idea.
that does make me a little bit happy, at least because obviously people complain about like harem stuff in anime, and at
Yeah.
least it's like, well, some of like the creators themselves
creators-
want to don't all want to do that, but then they're
No.
being forced to by the businessman.
Because it sells, and if
Well,
it sells,
even-
it gets money, and if
I
they get
even look
money,
at
they're
stuff
happy.
like
Yeah.
I even look at stuff like High School DxD and No Game No Life, which has that elements, but are clearly a lot better research.
yeah.
Plus DxD, it's almost a parody of this of some of the
Oh,
stuff.
it's an
I
entire
because
parody.
I insist that.
because the main character gets convinced to go along with being reincarnated as a devil. The moment that he gets explained, if you become a high class devil, you can get your own peerage of servants. Wait, you mean I could have 15 beautiful female servants as my harem?
Yeah, I mean, if you want
technically,
to.
yes. Done. I'm in.
Done.
I'm doing it.
Let's do this right now.
I'm going to be Hokage.
No, I mean, that's basically one of the best things you can say. He becomes like, I'm going to be Hokage because I want to bang a bunch of women.
Acceptable.
He never pretends like it's not just that.
I think you guys told me he doesn't get anywhere close to his goal either.
I mean,
He does.
he does.
But
He
doesn't.
doesn't.
All right.
Sorry.
That's
back
all
on
right.
topic.
Back on topic. Because in the second half of the show, Kiryuki Hime goes off on her trip to Okinawa. And these two episodes are kind of a way to bring her back into the show, because otherwise she really doesn't show up until like the last episode.
Yeah, and at that point it would be like, what? Okay.
Where have
How
you
did she
been-
get
where have
here?
you
Why
been
did she
all-
have
where
this
you been
stuff?
all
What?
The entire
Yeah,
arc?
without that stuff, what it does is it justifies her showing up for her big damn hero moment.
Exactly. I agree with you. Like, it's not like
It's not out of. It's not that it's not needed. It's just that it's out of place.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I can't think of where they would place
it.
it better. Yeah.
The only other time they could have placed it would be literally like right after he called her while she was in Okinawa. That would have been the only other good time.
Yeah, but even then it would have felt disjointed. Ultimately, going back to my Dragon Ball analogy I made before we
Right.
went on another tangent.
My bad.
What Dust Taker arc is ultimately about, it is this big bad guy comes in, puts you at a disadvantage, and you have to spend the rest of the arc finding out how to get the advantage, how to get him in a good position. You basically have to do your research and do your training in order to get to the point that you can finally fight and beat this guy. Yeah, kind of, actually. It very much plays out like a Dragon Ball arc, because all the Dragon Ball arcs is, big guy comes in, he has this gimmick that we don't know about, we need to train, research, and
Figure out how to beat this gimmick.
yeah, why he's still going around doing dick stuff.
Yeah.
Being a dick. I don't remember, but I remember that the two like young girls in that arc had some really bad like speech quirk.
Oh, in the English,
he
I told you
told
guys
me.
about this one.
Oh,
All right,
it
this was
bugged me.
especially cringy. In the Japanese version, they just outright sub it. Thank you. In the English version, all right, in the English version, anything that was like a native thing to Okinawa or anything, they directly translate it. They spent the entire arc calling the bad guy and his monster the Mushi Mushi and the Moshi Mushi or whatever.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, or the Moshi Mune or something or whatever. And they keep doing this. They keep on just casually saying these Japanese terms while they're going through
Everything
the
else
arc.
is in English, and you're just like, ah.
Well, it's partially bad because they never explain what it means. There's not even in the side saying, "Oh, this means that" or anything.
like
Because-
an actual subbing group would do.
Yeah.
Right.
But even then, they would probably just directly translate it because everyone hates translation note. Keikaku means plan.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause everyone
Just
hates
according
that.
to Keikaku.
At the same
Yeah.
time, though, I'm glad that they call her Kiryuki Hime, not Black
Princess Snow Black. Yeah,
Whatever
but
it is.
It is extremely jarring when you're talking about. It's like, what was that? Oh no, the Mushi Mushi showed up on his Moshi Mooni. So Sashiburi kana. And I'm like, I'm sorry, it's an English dub. Speak English.
Yeah.
The other thing that bothered me about that arc is they never say Crimson King Bolt's name. They
Oh
never
yeah,
say
it's just CB.
they say
Wait.
they say CK the entire time.
CK.
They
Oh,
never
CK.
say his name in full.
Really?
Never.
Wait, is
Not
that in
once.
both versions?
No, and they
In the
say
English
it in
dub.
they say it in the Japanese version.
Okay.
In the English dub, she always calls him CK.
Wow.
Always.
Yeah.
Like
you only need
on
to
one-
say it once.
On one hand, I understand they know each other. On the other hand,
What's
say
his name?
Or even like I remember in the sub, like she would call him Creakin because Crimson King Bolt creaking, but like even that would be better than CK.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, CK is a fine nickname. I just agree that they
Yeah.
should have at least mentioned Crimson
Need
King
to have
Bolt
the name
once.
drop once.
Yeah, I was when I first noticed it, I was just kind of like, have they said his name? They haven't said his name. Why aren't you saying it? Sasaburi kana say English?
Speak in English.
And I also
Speaking
don't-
of English.
I remember that Kiryuki Humi's friend who's like looking for her at the time like does something weird where like, she like turns the landscape into like water or something.
Oh,
That-
I
that
don't
part
remember-
was.
the explanation for that was a little lacking, I think.
There
Well,
was no
the-
explanation for that anywhere.
Yeah,
Nobody knows.
The only
Basically
thing I
from
can say is, I
nowhere.
guess even when it's uninstalled, it's still kind of there.
If it's on, it's a ghost program. It's there, but you just don't know
See,
it.
we have our theories. Like one of my theories was Basically, Jeremy and I was talking about it yesterday, and it's like, we have explanations, they're just not good ones.
Yeah.
No, there is one good explanation that we have,
What?
Tristan,
What?
about where Brain Burst came from.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
I hope you can
Because
hear me punching him.
when you get to level 10, you get to meet the creator of Accel World, who's going to be Kirito.
No, you see, it's Kayaba Akihiko.
No. What's going to happen is,
I
the
hate you
clouds
all.
over the world are going to part, and there's going to be a castle floating in the sky. And Kayaba is going to come in from the internet and be like, "Hey, hi.
No.
You all can have one
no,
question.
No.
Everybody
All
gets
stop
one.
this right
No,
now.
I like this version of Jimmy because y'all can have one question. Can we ask anything? Yes, that's your question.
Okay, next person.
See,
Yes,
Can
you
we
can
ask
ask
us
anything.
anything?
Next.
But see, the thing is, in actual Sword Art Online, he's trying to go down like a technology, like game development route.
Yes,
so.
at the same time, in the light novel, they already have him appear in this stupid one-off thing. I really doubt that would be your big twist if you did that.
I know it might not happen. I just think it would be
Okay.
hilarious if it
Although
did.
I remember when we were talking about it, we did have this hilarious joke. I don't know if I told you guys
Oh,
this
yes.
one, where some people have said that Kuryuki Hime is the daughter, or at least the granddaughter of Asuna and Kirito.
Yeah, I've
which
seen
I could,
that. I've seen
I could
that
see
one.
that one. So I imagine, all right, Haru, you're about to meet my grandparents. Just keep in mind, Grandpa is a little weird. What? What? You're only keeping one woman? Back in my day, I had one for every game I played. Sir, why are you holding two canes? I'm a dual wielding. I was reflexive in the game, so I am in real life. Watch this. I can't get up. Whatever, honey.
My hand.
No. What's better is you have to consider if Kuryuki Hime were Kirito and Asuna's daughter, she would at some point have to meet her older sister, Yui. So she has to log in. So it's just like, okay, and now you're gonna meet your big sister for the first time. Put on this nerve gear and log into the game.
I can imagine she said, "Oh, she overseas? Kinda. Just do it. Just
go with it.
Dad,
Oh,
this is really
I
good.
think
Just
what-
do it. She is your daughter, legitimately, like everyone else."
Also,
She is your sister. Acknowledge her.
also, I think
I
one
can
of the-
imagine it would be awkward. Like they'd be going about it, and it was just kind of like, "Why can't you be more like the good daughter?"
Or they just log.
actually
They
real.
just log into Alfheim Online, and the first time she meets, you're a fairy. You're a little fairy. What, Dad? I don't understand.
Even better, like if Yui's just like really confused, it's just kind of, "Oh, you got an actual daughter."
Oh, so was I? Was I not good
Well,
enough, Dad?
personally, what I hope is because in Mother's Rosario, Kirito develops like this camera thing that lets like
Oh,
Yui
that
see
thing. Whoa.
things. By that point, hopefully, he's like developed her into just like a robot or something.
I mean, that's one of his goals, I think. But no, I think one of my favorite
Which
things
is
about
stupid. God.
Yes,
Yes.
it's stupid, but it'd be great.
one of my favorite things about the whole idea that Asuna and Kirito are the daughter. A lot of people who loved Sal shot down immediately. You wanna know why? Because one of the things that it specifically states in the show, I think at some point, and that it does at least in the light novels, is that Kuryuki Hime is not on the best of terms with her parents.
Even better.
Yeah.
You know, I read over all your adventures, Dad, Mom, and I just realized all of this is kind of bullshit. No.
Dad, you're kind of a gigantic jerk.
Yeah, you kind of strung this girl along for like half of the time playing a girl by pretending to be a girl. What the heck? Do you want to be the little girl, Dad? Do you? Is that what it is?
So
Does mommy have to be the man sometimes?
It brings so many questions.
did you say though that the theory was that Kirito and Asuna are her grandparents, not?
Well,
Parents.
I'm not
It's
quite
only
sure.
like a
how
20
many-
to
So-
30 year
so-
difference.
Well, yeah,
So
but we don't
Yui
know where Sword Art
is actually
ends.
Kuryuki Hime's
Exactly.
mother.
Clearly.
I want to say, I don't remember the exact date, but Accel World takes place in like 2040, I want to say.
Oh,
And
I thought it was farther in the future with
no,
how
it's like
different everything
2040,
is.
2050.
They'd at least be 35 years old.
They'd at least be 35, so it'd be.
But hey, considering
Child.
16.5, they're clearly promiscuous, pretty young.
No, that's not
true.
promiscuity. That's just being sexually active.
I'm saying it's possible.
All right. So getting back to Accel World for a minute.
Wait, I thought this was talking about.
I know, right?
I'm sorry.
Wait,
I'm
wait.
sorry, but those concepts were just too humorous to not bring up.
Oh no,
They
it's good.
were.
I imagine Grandpa Kirito's just holding. He has 2 canes and he colors them after his swords. Even
I-
green and black.
Can't get across the past.
I still love the fact that Kayaba is still somewhere in the internet because that's what he did. He uploaded his mind to the internet, and he's somewhere
He really
there.
is. But I was wondering if you could explain something to me, Tristan, about just how the what's it called? The system, the incarnation system works, because like they talk about how it's like you're.
I can explain it.
Oh yeah.
You know that thing in Shonen series where they can do anything if they're determined enough.
Willpower.
That's
Right.
what it is in a virtual reality.
I got that,
Yeah,
but then it just like, what are the limits on it then? Because if as long as you have the will, you can do anything.
I really
then...
want to bring this up. They did cut it off. Do you think we should just go ahead on this one?
Sure.
The reason Incarnate System has limits is when they let Incarnate System freely happen, Chrome Disaster happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason all the kings are very hush-hush about it, and they don't even take it too far unless someone else takes it, because when someone took it too far, they basically had one of the greatest monsters that they still can't get rid of.
Yeah, basically the whole thing about the incarnate system is it's willpower and imagination. Sure, if you can imagine it, it can happen, but it still has to be one of the things you can believe it is a thing that can happen. You can't just basically believe, oh, I can fly without wings. Wait, how would I fly without wings? That doesn't work.
Yeah, well, yeah, they even bring that up sort of.
There's a little bit-
Even with Incarnate System, she still couldn't fly, so you can't do anything.
Right.
The one thing that Haru does with the whole jetpack thing was he gave it infinite fuel. You know, that's one of the things that you can kind of go, okay, it's a jetpack with infinite fuel.
It's a game.
It's a
so
game.
Why would okay? Yeah, sure. Infinite fuel.
Yeah,
why
it's just
not?
kind of like, I need infinite fuel. Why would I have infinite fuel? Because it's a game and I can!
Done. Have an infinite fuel. Go.
Basically, I don't.
There's just a board of chairmans above that. It's a game and I can. They sit there. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Press the button.
But that thing about the kings, right, is from the light novel. They don't explain that in the anime.
It's explained a little bit in the anime, but
well, the anime
it
does-
goes,
when Haru, I remember when Haru goes to ask Nico about the incarnate system.
She
No,
about
like,
punches
she
his
freaks
face
out
off.
that he's talking about it in public, and then immediately drags them off to talk about it privately. and
Skyraker is the
explain.
one who brings up that only a few people, but mostly
Outside the kings.
outside of the kings, actually know about it. The kings know about it. They make sure nobody else knows about it.
Okay. See, that
It-
makes I had forgotten about that bit because it seemed like
Also,
all of a
there's-
sudden everybody was doing an
Also,
incarnate
there's
system.
one of the
Well,
things-
they did it because the only way to combat Incarnate System was with Incarnate
I mean,
System.
There's
kinda-
also a thing that they bring up where if you use the incarnate system, like how your avatar is built off out of the hole in your heart, if you overuse it, the hole goes bigger. So that's kind of where Chrome Disaster comes from. If you use incarnate system too much, you kind of go nuts.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would consider it coming up more often as being kind of like in One Piece, how they're running into more and more people with haki. Like, even if, only 1 in a million people has this ability, as you go further along in your fight and you're dealing with more
gonna
and
find
stronger
more
people,
stronger
you're
people
gonna run into
conglomerate.
more people who've had that ability,
Yeah.
that advantage that helps them get further.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. I guess it's just kind of like, because it's like, as long as it's willpower and it's like feasibly possible with like how your character is designed, you can do anything. It's kind of an open door for him to do anything.
It is
Actually-
somewhat of an open door, but what I like, it is an open door, and it is a cheat sheet, because
He even mentions it. It's kind of like cheating.
it's kind of a cheat sheet, but at the same time, there's repercussions for doing it. It's like
Yeah.
putting an action replay into your Game Boy Advance. Sure, you'll get superpowers, but you've broken the game's programming in a way that wasn't supposed to happen, so you're not exactly
Oh,
playing the
God,
game
missing
as
now.
intended.
Gotta find missing now. All right, and then one thing I want to talk about a bit was she used quote unquote betrayal, that happens in this arc,
Yeah.
because she heals Nomi, and everybody thinks like she's against
Yeah,
them.
sure.
Blah blah
Let's
blah.
say it's healing.
Oh right.
Well,
I think
I
at this
mean-
point we may as well.
Oh
say
no,
it.
it's very obvious the first time she uses it anyway.
you watch it, and as
It
the
has
health
the
goes
whole
up,
bell and the like clock inside of her.
and it goes
bell
backwards, and you see the clock go backwards, and the energy, like as the health bar
he
increases.
even makes mention, why is my special bar up again?
They do allude to it.
Yeah, no.
Like if you pay attention, it's pretty easy to figure out, and then
I just wasn't paying attention, I guess.
No, you weren't.
Yeah.
You never paid
and then
attention.
like
Oh,
once,
shut up, I like
once
the
you get to
series.
the betrayal, it's sort of like
She has an
maybe-
ulterior motive. You can tell.
And plus,
I mean, yeah.
even when, like you talk about their particular traumas influence their avatars. Well, when you think about it, like her big thing the whole time has been,
I want my
miss-
friends.
I miss the time when me and Taku and Haru were just friends hanging out together.
the
at the
good old
time. I want to
days. Let's
go
go back
back
to
to
those.
then.
I want to
Yeah.
go back to the good old days. She even
Yeah.
mentions that like plenty of times. I just want to go back to the good old days of us hanging out.
No, all that is really well done. Honestly, I thought that was a good
It's
twist
one of
and
those few
everything.
things that I think is one of my favorite things about it. Like, they say this character has this sort of this avatar. Well, why do they have this avatar? Well, you see, here's this.
Yeah. Well,
you
the
can
other
actually
thing-
follow the reason why their avatar is the way it is.
Yeah, the other thing is that you can follow it. You with Chiyu is like, why does she have that? And then you pay attention, you find out exactly why it is, and it works in reverse. You can look at some of the other avatars that don't exactly have a real world version. Maybe it's never stated. Maybe you'll never see them, but you can make your assumptions. Why are they the way they are?
Right.
Think about the drill.
He has a drill penis because he wants to overcompensate.
Clearly.
He watched too much Gurren Lagann.
Hey, the problem I had with it though was just that like her explanation at the end, because correct me if I'm wrong, but she said that like Nomi tapped her so she couldn't like talk to them about it, right? Like
It was one of those things where he had
No,
a
it was one of
program
those things
that
where
he could monitor what she says, basically.
Well, it was also a cautionary thing. Chiyu's not the smartest person, but
If you tell someone, there's a higher risk of the knowledge
people-
getting out.
3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead.
Exactly.
well,
So-
the thing is, I
But
don't.
she told Kuryuki Hime about it.
That was somebody on the opposite side of the entire country.
I understand, but if you're worried about the secret leaking,
did she
seemed-
tell Kuryuki Hime?
Yeah, it's one of those things where when they were doing the final fight, she tells Kuryuki Hime the fight's happening at this time at this location, and that's how Kuryuki Hime was able to get to the final
But does
fight.
it say
She
she actually
doesn't-
did anything else but tell her that?
I don't think she did, but it's still one of those things. It's like after you hear that, it's like, oh, she was kind of on our side the entire time.
right?
Yeah, I can't blame her for thinking that though, because considering how Nomi got them into the situation in the first place, like I said,
He's
she's not
slimy.
the
Well,
she's not the
yes.
smartest person around, and she probably doesn't really have a good grasp of what he's capable of. So better safe than sorry.
I guess, but I just kept on thinking like, well, there is such thing as texting, or writing a note. You can do it without saying what.
Well,
you
that's
wanna
what
say.
we have. We don't know what they all do. All their things through the Neuralinkers.
I mean, they may have gotten to the point where they're so dependent on it, they just don't even think about something simple
I could see
like that.
texting, but like literally, you could write on a piece of paper. She could be saying whatever, write on a piece of paper.
I want you
help.
to look back at the show.
Know
Did you
me, blah, blah,
ever
blah.
see them with a piece of paper ever?
No,
They
but
you gotta save the trees,
It is-
man!
Yeah, because at this point, how many trees are there? In fact, let's take a look at this entire society. Everything is monitored by cameras everywhere. Everyone's wearing a Neuralinker that's attached to their brains. They can get viruses that get in their brains. It's even outright stated that he could have changed him reading the lights and walks right into traffic. Who knows if traffic isn't automated? What is up with this world?
I remember you talking about the cameras thing. That is
And
pretty
that's
creepy.
why you don't let Kirito become an adult. You kill him while he's young.
Yeah, what I like about this is I could kind of blame Kirito. I remember at the beginning of GGO, he's already pointing out the cameras and he's talking about it like it's a good thing. Kirito, what would happen if this actually turned into a dictatorship society? There's no way that could happen. Technology is pure, Asuna. Always.
Meanwhile, Kayaba is in the internet watching this particular camera feed, and it just zooms in 3 times. Nothing can go wrong. Nothing can go wrong. Nothing can go wrong.
Yeah, that's something that's not addressed, and I honestly don't expect them to address it. But you have to wonder what the society in Accel World is like, that they have cameras and Neuralinkers and all these things set up. It's I'm wondering if it's not going to if that's not what the point is being led to.
Yeah.
The fact that
Everything is monitored.
well, especially with everything being monitored and everything as strict as it is, how is Brainburst not known?
Yeah.
You have to
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
the thing is, Brainburst is one of the few things that probably wouldn't be known. Only a few people have it, and it's kept that
it
way.
also is
because
mentioned like the only place there's not cameras. Do you know where it is? The
bathrooms.
Imperial Palace. Well, the bathrooms, duh. But the Imperial Palace is the only other place without.
There's an Imperial Palace.
like the Imperial Palace of Japan.
Japan.
Oh, okay. I thought we were like in
No.
an actual monarchy.
Wait, so it got worldwide?
No, in Japan, the Imperial Palace is the only place in Japan that I know that is stated in the light novels to not have any cameras anywhere, and people even in the Brainburst haven't been able to get there because it's guarded by just insane monsters.
Huh.
That's probably gonna be a thing later on. And I really
Wait,
want to see
I know.
Oh boy.
Kirito became the emperor.
Really.
Jimmy, shut up.
No.
He
refuse.
became the emperor and designed Accel World.
I will say this. I would be opposed to him designing Accel World because that's giving too much credit to a character whose story has ended. I would not be opposed if one thing I was disappointed about in the crossover that happened in the light novel was Kirito and Silver Crow fight because he makes a time jump.
Yeah, he's not kidding. There's a little time
he's
jump.
He's futzing with some machinery and he makes a time jump.
Kayaba did it.
Kayaba did it.
Sure, why not?
That's just the best. That's the best explanation because everything that happens in Sword Art Online is because of Kayaba's hard work doing all this crazy shit. Because he decided he wanted to make a flying castle and he forgot why. And then he just uploads himself into the internet, creates this, the seed program that spawns every other MMO that comes out of the game. I just assume that Kayaba is responsible for everything that happens because
I do definitely think the reason I persisted so much in Sword Arts at the end of the day is because something from Sword Arts is going to be relevant to Accel Worlds.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
It even mentions that with like the whole. He's looking back at the whole ways like all the people used to like go into the internet.
like
Like,
nerve gear.
it shows the nerve gear, the Amusphere, and then he finds the BIC, the brain implant chip.
Right.
Which you have to wonder when they started doing that.
Oh no! It
Jesus.
even said it was like only for a year because they realized,
because it's
Oh!
crazy. You have to
Horrible
stick
idea.
the thing in. You have to go into the person's brain.
Yeah, you have to wonder who Nomi knew to get that in his head.
The
too.
Acceleration Research Society.
Well,
there
yeah,
you
but
go.
that means how much is your
how old is the person there who can do that?
Yeah, like he was so willing to do this.
That could very easily just be somebody
That
that
gets really
has brain
sketchy.
burst. Was curious about it, and like they end up bringing in older people who can't have it because you have to have worn the
nerve gear
Neurolinker for
since
your
birth.
entire life.
I can
So,
see.
you know.
Actually, I can see the Acceleration Research Society being basically these people approaching them and saying, "We have this."
I can
Wanna
honestly see
experiment
the
on it?"
Acceleration Research Society being people like they figured out like the adults who figured out brain burst is a thing. Let's
we
give
can't-
it to our kids. And just have them do everything for
even
us.
here's the fun thing. Technically, the kid could have spent more time mentally in Accel World that they would be on a higher mental level than the adults.
Yeah.
So you could have a situation where a kid is ordering an adult
Actually,
around.
I'm pretty sure I've seen the president of the Acceleration Research Society is actually one of the people that's doing this, which since they have to be under that certain age that
Who said they have? I know it's one of the things that it says it has to be.
Because you have to have worn it for your entire life, and it's only existed for so long. So the person can't be any older than the Neurolinkers than
What
they
about
are.
the prototype Neurolinkers? Like when they're going up to the Neurolinkers, what if it was someone who had that, and they're like, instead of being like a middle school or just at the oldest like a freshman in high school, they might be a college student because it's like one of those. They're testing out the Neuralinkers.
I mean, now you're talking
So
prototypes.
you're
This-
saying he's a beater.
Tie it back to
Yes.
Sword Art. The one interesting thing that you brought up that I hadn't really thought of was like when these kids all like grow up and become adults. If Burstlink is still around, then it gets into a situation where like, okay, now we're adults. Like
What do we
we're
do?
in negotiations with like different governments. We can abuse like this power.
Yeah.
To do all sorts of weird things.
Yeah, there is darker things you can draw to this. I'm just wondering if they will.
See,
that's
the
ultimately the
Acceleration
thing.
Research Society is going to find a way to give people enough points that they have an army.
Yeah, I want more to come out because I can't really tell exactly what ends there. In a way, it's a refreshing feeling that you don't know where the series is going to go. And there is enough conceptually here that you could go in a lot of directions.
Yeah.
I love that potential, but I'm not
There's
getting
so
it.
much potential there, and you can see where it can go, but you don't know where it will go.
Yeah, the thing is, either way, because of what I've seen so far, if they kept going at the tone they're going right now, I wouldn't be sad. If they went intelligently went in a darker direction, I wouldn't be sad.
I've read that there was only one more like arc that was out, and it was a pretty good arc, but it wasn't the dark arc until the very end when I'm not going to go into spoilers, so I won't.
Yeah,
I mean,
But it
it's-
got good.
I do wonder where it's going because while Reki might not have everything planned out, I'm pretty sure he does have an end goal. In
He has an
mind.
end goal, and he has a generic. He just has like bullet points of this is what I want to
And
have
even
happen, but he just doesn't know what to throw in between.
And even
them.
if I don't like Sword Arts, I would not be opposed to meeting 35-year-old Kirito, for example. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be an interesting thing. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing back things that happened in Sword Arts that led to society as it is today, because that would be, and even if Sword Arts wasn't that
It'd
good,
be development.
yeah, it'd be an intelligent thing to do.
AKA
It'd
the
be like,
one big thing that this show had well over Sword Art, which was character development.
It's like, here's the thing that they did. It's like they bring up, how did it all start this way? Well, you see, it started when this way, we're testing out this thing in order to bring your brain into a higher intensity than you are in real life. How did they do it? Well, some idiot got himself poisoned and they paid a lot of money to do it. I didn't personally like the kid, but whatever.
Yeah, that's actually what happens in Sao.
Yeah, sorry, spoilers.
Oh no! All right. One thing I wanted to bring up from what you said, as far as like what they could go into in the future, one of the things that got me to watch the show when you were talking about was this whole idea that it's the accelerated world. You know, time is going slower in that world than it is in the real world. So like these kids can spend months to up to years.
Oh,
in the
it even
accelerated
mentions
world.
like one character is like he's a like famous web mangaka, and he's like in middle school, and you don't know how he's able to do all this because he goes into the accelerated world and draws in there.
Yeah.
Basically, the other thing is that in any other setting, it's just like, I'm a prodigy, I can do it. In this setting, it's because they cheated, technically.
Right. But
A lot.
there's
That's,
even
whole,
some-
that's like Taku's whole like redeeming himself thing. I cheated to this point, so now I just kind of am in a desperate situation.
I could even see that coming up later. Should we use this to cheat our way through lives? Because there's probably a lot of people who do.
Well,
Yeah.
right.
And they're still at a young and tender age where they probably wouldn't think about it until later.
You know, it actually kind of reminds me of thinking about it this way. You know, the way they have this option of using this game to cheat their way through life. It actually reminds me of a manhwa that I've been reading, The Gamer, where you know this guy wakes up one day and he's developed this ability that he's in real life a video game character who levels up, has stats, you know, can form parties. He winds in, you know, he stumbles into this barrier where two people are fighting, and he winds up finding more of these barriers where there are monsters, and as he's training, trying to get strong enough so that he won't die when he does that again, he winds up beating monsters and they drop actual loot, and his
he
friend
gets to keep it in real life.
yeah, like his friend who's actually part of a martial arts family that's involved in this underground world thinks he sees this, and it blows his mind, because these are monsters that we created with magic for training. They shouldn't drop loot, or they wind up dropping powerful magical items that they can sell in this underworld for a lot of money because they're rare and powerful. And then the guy winds up just stopping and realizing is
this legal?
his job has become level grinding and just beating monsters.
So
for
he's
treasure.
a gold farmer in China.
But in a real
Yeah,
situation.
well, yeah. But it does, like, one of the first things they bring up, it's like, nobody knows why this game was made. And they say when you get to level 10, you'll find out. But that brings to questions, with all the potential things that could come out of this game, makes
Does
you
anybody
wonder,
get to level 10?
well, if they
Wow.
get to level 10, what happens? And even if the creator does come and tell them why? And why is it so secret in the society?
I
where
think
Actually,
the biggest
that brings up a good question. Whoever said that you'll find out when you reach level 10?
Oh, they got a system message.
System message.
yeah,
when
yeah.
people got to level 9,
I
there
just,
was
you
a
motherfucker.
system message that said if you reach level 10, you can ask the creator one question. You just have to murder all over level 9s to get to level 10.
Well, that's another thing, because there's parts of the story that explain itself with rational thought. I appreciate the heck out of that. One of them being, why are there only so many level 9 kings? And it's be like, well, if you guys came a level 9, then you'd be an easy target for them to come and
Kill
take you
you.
down, because you don't have experience being a level 9 as much as them.
That was actually a thing
It
I
basically
saw.
becomes, why aren't there more level 9s?
Because
Want to get on in this? 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Like,
I don't
no,
want to get in
it
the
was
middle
one of the
this.
things I saw. Like,
Right.
after they all became level 9 and all this, and then they got this system, everybody got this system message and learned all this. You know Aqua Current, Skyraker? Well,
Right.
they're all like were a part of Nebulous, and it kind of says that.
Spoilers.
No, they even say that.
Aqua Current never says it.
Aqua Current doesn't. I thought no.
No,
she
Aqua
never
Current
said
never
it.
said it.
Oh,
She
I
never
thought
She,
says it.
she never
Judo
says
chop.
it, but it's not exactly something
But
that's
no,
hard to figure out.
There's
No.
like 2 other characters who do this, and one of them, it literally says, was like level 8, about to become level 9. System message goes on, screw that noise, I'm not leveling.
Yeah,
He literally
pretty
just
much.
goes, screw that noise, I'm not leveling.
the leveling actually reminds me of something else I thought about from the earlier arc when he levels up and
Goes
gets
down to
dragged.
one-
he's had this for a while, and if you can accelerate, you have all this time that you can use. Why did none of them stop to sit and explain, okay, these are the basic things. When you level up, if you don't level up right as soon as you get the points, you need to build up more.
Press the
Don't
button.
like it would take like you could take, half an hour to sit down and explain these little basic things. Why would you not do
Why
that?
would anybody
It is-
explain things to the protagonist?
It is a fair point why nobody would.
It's also one of the things where the people at this point have been in there so long, it's just become one of the things like, everybody knows this.
No, the thing I come in, and this is actually a storytelling reason. Sure, they could sit down and explain everything to him in a half hour, but they wouldn't sit down and show us this half hour. You do need someone in a story, especially one with a world as complex as this, to ask, what's a paladin?
I mean, yeah, there's
That-
it's,
paladin, Tristan?
Well, let me tell you.
I mean, it's necessary, but at the same time, it feels kind of contrived.
It does,
A little
but
bit,
it's one
but-
of those things where it's required.
Although it's still
Yeah.
better.
They can technically use Chiyu for it now.
Although
Yeah.
it's also still better that they have it with the justification of, he's very new to this, as opposed to Naruto, where it's just, he's a dumbass, except when he's a genius.
Exactly. And one of the last things I want to bring up, because I thought this was an interesting question, because we compared Haru to Shinji earlier, because especially near the early part, he's that kind of whiny kid, who's been picked on his whole life kind of thing, and it's interesting to me because Haru is kind of a weird balance of like where he veers on, Shinji level territories, at some points in the story, and then at other points, he acts like a badass, has the awesome fights and stuff. And it's just interesting because, we complain a lot about, like, the overpowered power fantasy characters, like Kirito or Tatsuya, who are, like, too perfect and too strong. But at the same time, you don't want a Shinji Ikari, who's too whiny and so lacking of things that he can't get anything done.
Except
so it's
rebuild
like,
Shinji.
well, that's true. Well, until 3.0. But there's got to be a balance, and I just kind of wonder, like,
I think
is
Haru
Haru...
met that balance decently because while he did go to the extremes, he still had that whole thing of he wasn't whiny the entire time or he wasn't overpowered the entire time. And he obviously, and it even goes through this, he works really hard in order to get to where he did.
Yeah, he puts in the effort. And even when he does reach low points, there is a point where he's just kind of like, it's time to buck up.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anything done this way. So it's ultimately what bothered us with Shinji, and I even followed Shinji up into a point in Ava. What bothered us with Shinji is basically when he reached the end and his character development hit a brick wall and turned into a pile of mush.
he's just lying.
I thought
there,
it became
refusing to do
Tang, not
anything.
mush.
No, Shinji. They never
not
specifically show that Shinji became
Not
Tang.
important, but the thing that frustrated people with Shinji wasn't so much that he was whiny, because upon watching it more and being a little fair, he has plenty of reasons to wonder what the heck is going on that nobody is explaining to him. There's plenty of reason for him to be reacting this way. The problem is the story eventually reaches a point, and because of its development, where they just keep on throwing him back to that point when he should have surpassed it. And it's not even kind of like, I took your wings and kicked you back down. It's they just keep throwing him back because he keeps rationalizing himself back there.
Also, can I just personally say the fight where he fights Nomi without his wings the first time was probably like one of my favorite fights in the entire series.
Oh yeah, because he was clever about it.
Oh no,
I love the point where he's just kind of like, you forgot, this is a duel match. Then Taku emerges from underneath the lava.
Yes, like it's one of those
like
things.
a boss.
Yeah, well, I want to bring up, there's this one animator I know of called Nozomu Abe, who's like really good animator. He does a couple cuts in this show, particularly the final finishing blow against Nomi in the last episode, which is awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
that
the sonic boom.
the Sonic
Yeah.
Boom Rider kick.
Yeah, no. So you can tell, like, when he takes over, like, things get really cool and like the debris gets really detailed and stuff.
Super awesome.
The
Yeah.
fight scenes were just amazing.
I love them all.
Yeah, like, it's not the best looking show ever. It's not always the most fluid. But it keeps up a solid like.
It stays solid and it stays consistent. It doesn't
Yeah.
have giant jumps. It doesn't
There's-
have big quality
would-
dips or
there's
just
not any
big quality
particular moment.
increases.
I would somewhat argue. Well,
Quality.
I would argue when you say not the best thing ever, you're saying, well, it's not that great. Yes, I think it is that great. Because it's Sunrise and they have the budget. Not the best ever, no. But when you say not the best ever, you're saying, well, it's not that great.
Well, it's
I
not-
think Accel World's animation-wise was that
It
great.
depends on, because it's weird when you talk about animation, because it really divides more into two categories. There's art, which is more like do they stay on model? How detailed is it? Character designs, things like that. Then there's animation, which is literally movement. And
But
in terms of movement, there are anime that have a lot more fluid or detailed movement than Accel World. But Accel World art is also very strong. And then when it gets to the fight
Combined
scenes,
together,
the animation does get pretty fluid.
Yeah, I would say animation-wise, I can't give it too much credit because, again, Sunrise is a huge animation studio, but it looks great.
And
it looks
very,
pretty good.
almost no 3D, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
For sure.
2D animation just looks so much better.
The thing is, like, with all the detail in the accelerated world, with all the detail they put on the armor and everything, there's like lighting detail into everything. The lighting could have been artificial, but certainly there was no 3D models there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
they managed to create a very large amount of depth in texture.
Well, the lighting
to
is
most
probably
of the
done
characters.
digital, like After Effects or something.
Yeah, I would
Maybe,
imagine
but
that.
still, it was a very
Even if it was done digitally, there you can still do it digitally.
I mean,
well.
I don't mind digital with 2D. Digital 2D looks great. It's CG 3D that specifically anime doesn't usually handle the best. Obviously American 3D is very advanced, but
Well, we have Hollywood who throws the money at it.
well, exactly.
That's what
Take our
Hollywood's
money!
for.
Exactly.
Throwing money at good things and terrible things.
Precisely. So, getting to overall thoughts about the show. Personally, for myself, Accel World is a show I think it's good. Personally, I don't think it elevates itself into like that great tier. I think the characters like aren't the deepest in the world. Or the one I didn't really engage with a lot of them. Like I don't really care for Kuryuki Hime that much. Besides, her design is cool, but as a character, she's a little Miss Perfect a lot of the times.
Yeah. Well, I know we're trying to get to the finishing thoughts, but you can have an ace.
No, I mean I'm not saying you can't.
And she kind of doubles as the mentor character a little bit.
No, she definitely does.
She's
Mentor
like ace.
Like I mean, for me, I do like Haru a lot. Like his journey is the one that the show really focuses on, and they do a good job with that. I feel like the side characters, with the exception of some like Unico, are like really good. But the thing that I like most about Accel World was the world, and then when we got to like the cool fight scenes and things like that, that's what I really took away from the show. So it wasn't one that like blew me away, but it was a very solid show that I would definitely recommend to people. Jacob, what would you say?
I'm kind of the same opinion. It's not the greatest. I kind of personally put it at the bottom part of the great territory because two things that I love the most in a show are world building and character development. And this show did both really well in a way that didn't feel too contrived. And it's like, we're throwing character development at him because we need character development. No, this character is kind of like, well, they hit this point and then they're slowly developing. They're getting more about them, and then you kind of just see where their character's going.
Even if it does get abrupt, they don't
forget
like about it.
Even if it's abrupt, it's like they don't forget about it, and they kind of just go and elaborate a little bit on it, like blah 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 blah. You did a good job with this, and just like the best way you can do it is just like Taku. His whole arc is just like the entire show in the way, to the fact of like beginning he's just like this big sleazeball in a way where it's like he's trying to murder a girl who's asleep, technically.
Right.
And
Well,
it's
her
just
virtual self,
like,
anyway.
Well, yeah, but in a way, I'd kind of be murdering her
it would
too,
murder
because
all of her memories of the accelerated world,
which
is a
at this point
significant
is
part
like
of her
50
life.
years minimum.
50 years plus, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like him, like, no, I'm going to try and redeem myself and be like a knight for this this person, and just like be like her shield. And like one of those things, like that whole thing, just like it's one of the things that just I personally really enjoyed the show to the point it just hit the bottom of the greats.
All right, Jimmy, what do you think?
I mean, I'm more or less, yeah, I generally agree with what you both have said. Like, I wouldn't really call it one of the great shows. It's definitely solid, good, a decent recommendation for anybody interested. The fight scenes were fantastic. The characters, I mean,
Outside of Haru.
Objectively, I will say the characters were done well. Like, they developed well. I just personally didn't feel any particular attachment towards them.
Yeah.
But the overall world building, it's fantastic. Like, it's just great to look at, and just even just to think about the implications of, like, just the idea of, well, what sort of character, what sort of person spawned this avatar? What sort of avatar would this person spawn?
Yeah, like the first time you see Dusttaker, what kind of mentality spawned this beast of an avatar?
And what I love is when they explain it, it's not all happiness and sunshine either. I like that they went into, not everyone's better off for having this thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I appreciate from Nomi.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
Jimmy?
and that's pretty much it.
All right, Tristan.
Well, needless to say, this is one of my... I'm not quite sure if it hits the top. It may very well. I haven't really overanalyzed it. But it's definitely one of my favorites because it does have several qualities that resonate with me. I like that they don't just brush things over. And even if there are some contrivances, overall, everything in the world and the avatars is explained well. There's room for debate and speculation. And it's very open for you to put your own thoughts and everything into it. I love the underdog story. I really appreciate the stuff out of that. And I like that they managed to pull it off, that he is unique, but not overpowered, you know? And everyone's unique, and I do appreciate that, because you know how much I hate when you get the chosen one, or suddenly I have this super powerful cannon and you don't.
I have windmill arms.
Have a radio launcher.
Those are things that I really dislike. And
When they start off with the Infinity +1 gauntlet.
Yeah, but Accel World manages to handle it in very, in my opinion, an eloquent way. I can see all of your complaints and everything, and I would agree, it isn't the best anime ever. It's not making a big sensation.
It was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun.
That's
and,
honestly what I look for the most.
Well,
in the
yeah,
show.
it's what it looks like. But whatever it is, this thing resonated pretty deeply with me, which is why it is one of my favorites. But I can admit all of your complaints are well-founded. I would recommend this thing as a gateway thing, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be a good gateway because it has the world, it has the
Well,
characters.
I mean, it's not. Here's the thing. What makes it a better gateway than, say, I know a lot of people like to say Cels is a gateway. No, I think this is a good gateway because it tells you. Well, because it is not. You can appreciate it at face value, but there's more there.
Although
I think that's a good example of what anime can do.
I'd say a late, like not your first, but a later gateway series, just because of that, first few episodes where
That's
you've got all that exposition.
Honestly,
you have to get
for
through.
me, for the longest time, my gateway series to tell people would have been like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood because it does do really good job world building, has good characters, and at the same time, it doesn't exposition too much at the beginning. And when it does get into the exposition parts,
true.
it's a
later
good,
on.
solid series.
The only real issue with it being a gateway is I think it's like a 60 episodes. At least?
64.
64. Okay.
64.
Yeah. No, I mean,
but
Full
it's
Metal
a-
Alchemist is what got me into anime, really. So
Yeah.
It's
I
a
think
good,
it's
it's a
pretty
good,
gateway.
accessible series.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, with this one, I'm biased because I've been trying.
No.
Oh, really? I'm extremely biased with this one. I've been trying to get Alex to do this one for a while.
It's true. Well, here you go.
Well, yeah, here I am. I usually reserve 9 and 10 for things that I have a particular fondness for. Usually things don't get above an 8.5 because that's usually like, it's good, but it didn't hit with me very much. I'd probably give this one a 9.
All right.
Gotcha. All right. Very good. So glad you guys could be here. This was a fun discussion we ended up having. I think for next week, we're going to be doing a podcast on Yuki Yuna as a Hero, which is a show from the fall season that I really enjoyed. 12-episode show that hopefully will be get done by next week, although I'm not sure any of you guys will be on. But it'll be a good show.
I got other stuff I got to do.
Well, we're starting because of the big convention thing we're going to this weekend. We're starting this week tired as hell.
Yeah. I guess I should mention that.
Next week is starting at Tuesday or Wednesday.
Tuesday.
We'll still be tired, I guarantee you.
Since this is the anime podcast, might as well mention that all of us are going to KatsuCon tomorrow up in Washington, D.C. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a hell of a
We get
long
to meet
ride.
Tristan's doppelganger, Daru.
It's true. Go to maid cafes. It'll be great.
I know, right?
All right. So if you enjoyed this podcast, you can email us at techheads@avwproductions.com. You can follow us on Twitter at techheadsou, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, give us good ratings and reviews. We always like to hear from you guys. So thank you all out there for listening. Thank you guys for hosting with me, and we will see you guys next time.
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2000.